wouldn't be a new show without a whole bunch of new problems. Welcome everyone to the late game. I'm Lycan. With me, we have the Bonjour BM, Destiny himself. We have the Frenchman, you all know him, love him, Lay Todd. If muscles were skill, he wouldn't play Protoss. We have Jeff, iNcontroL Robinson. And lastly, we have the head chef of Root House. Give it up for CatZ. How you doing, guys?
Well, let's not forget, we also have our host, the obscure random guy that started throwing money around and now has a show, right?
In my defense, fucking shots fired. Goddamn, I quit. All right.
Also, just so we're clear, your Skype picture makes you look like you're 45, but your webcam tells me you're 13. Which is it? I'm thinking somewhere in between.
26, kind of close.
Wait, so is it?
That's
if
actually right
skill,
fucking in between.
Was that?
If muscles were skill, he wouldn't play Protoss. Is that like the insinuation? Is that if he were?
That kind of bothered me too. What the fuck would he play then?
What?
Well, what would he play?
He played Terran.
He would play Zerg. No, Zerg. No. Zerg.
Bad start,
Yeah.
guys.
We're off to a good start. No bias in this show. All right.
Oh, none whatsoever. Oh, we got one Zerg, two Protoss, and the Terran. I'm the outnumbered one, so I think a little bias helps.
Sure.
All right, so going into the first topic of the day, we're going to talk Terran. And Terran and Protoss, actually. Shh. So, Terran...
Was that a dog or like your brother? Or?
This is a dog, yeah. Hey!
That
Show's off to a great start. So, Terran versus Protoss.
Is that how you got the nickname Lycan? Like someone heard that dog?
No. I don't know. You know, actually, the original name was Lycan Grope, and I felt that was just a play on words, and I thought that was too sexual to ever have any legitimacy at some time in the future.
Is the play on? Is it like a furry play on words? Like you'd show up as a wolf, but your alias was Grope or something like that? And
I just thought grope, it rhymed.
I'm checking the Twitch page, and there were no trigger warnings on this. So can we like calm down with the sexual references? I'm feeling really triggered right now. Please.
I'm sorry, your PTSD kicking in, Steven.
All right.
So what's this show about, man? What are we supposed to talk
We're
about?
supposed
Like
to
the
talk
origin of
about
the
Star
nickname?
Trek.
Okay.
All right, so
We're making
Todd's going off because
conversation,
we
Todd.
started
What the
with
fuck?
jokes. We started with jokes, which Todd doesn't understand. He's like, I'm here to talk about soccer too. I
mean,
don't
like-
understand.
If we're being honest, isn't this like the beginning of every PBT? Terran opens fucking Reaper. You have to talk about some random bullshit to fill the first 5 minutes anyway, right? Like, come on.
all right, the dog has to go. Excuse me.
I like the dog.
Destiny, during this small break, this small interlude, tell us about your saxophone career.
It's still
Do you wear the fedora and the jacket and then play the saxophone by yourself?
only when it's cold enough outside. It's starting to get to that temperature. You can find me down at the downtown, playing on the corner.
You play Careless Whisper?
Sometimes only people tier 2 sub to me on the street corners.
Alright.
All right. Did you just like get rid of it? Did you just like let him outside or what?
Yeah, I locked him out of my office.
Oh man.
He has other people to play with.
All right. PvP.
Okay,
What about it?
PvT. So you watched in the last games, you watched especially the game, I believe is between Innovation and Stats on Catalina. You watched Stats throw wave after wave of Protoss in the blink all in that normally, I'd say about 6 months ago, would have absolutely crushed Terran. And I don't know if it's just that we have figured it out, if Widow Mind Change has done enough that a few of those are going to stave off the high ground, you don't have to bounce as much in between bases. What is it that seems to be that we're not falling to those all-ins as much?
Maps.
Maps.
We don't mind, I guess.
But certainly,
I
I
think
think a
also-
starting point for it. There was a lot of maps that were really bad for blink abuse, and now, like even if you look at Overgrowth, they actually changed. Well, they didn't change, did they? No, it's just the ledge has brush on it now, so it's harder to blink up into. You still can, but it's more of a risky blink.
So you think
Yeah, I
that...
think even if it's like not a direct thing, like even if it's not like there wasn't like a direct buff or nerfed anything's involved, although obviously the Widow might got changed a little bit. Like, just the fact that you don't have to worry about those blink plays into your mid anymore, I think kind of changes the matchup a bit. And the Terrans don't have to be as petrified of like, oh, well, here comes another blink all in. If you remember the days of, what was that fucking map? Yansu? Was that the one where you, like, the horror fucking blink all-ins, like, maps like that don't exist anymore, so... I mean, I think maps have had, like, probably the biggest thing in terms of, like, early, like, blink play into Terran, although iNcontroL, Todd would know more about that, but...
Yeah, you were gonna
not
say
just
something,
that. Every single detail about playing against blink play has been figured out on how to scout it better, how to kind of see it coming, where to make the bunkers exactly, because even like the slightest wrong position or one bunker missing here and there on the high ground could really put the Terran in trouble. And yeah, all of these things put together make it so that nowadays it's just so much harder to win with any kind of blink play. It will only work as like a surprise if somehow Terran played greedy and only went for 2 racks plus an eBay for a quick +1 and then take 2 medivacs, because he will have so much less than if he plays 3 racks. And remember also there used to be a time where opening with the Reaper CC and then with 2 additional racks was like this exotic build that nobody really was doing other than Pult and Bomber. And now everybody does it, and you have so much more shit than you would otherwise. So if you play like that, then you shouldn't really be losing to blink play, to be honest.
I like what you're saying though, because it's also really true that even just stepping away from blink, just to make the point, but like a lot of builds were really, really powerful when they first came out, and then people, as they became more popular and faced it over time, they had made the adjustments like Todd's saying, putting the bunker in the right place, not overreacting, even changing the build to being more Pult-centric, where you do have a lot more bio in the early phase of the game. So if a guy does have 12 blink stalkers, whereas in the past they had medevacs faster, but like 10 marines, now they have 5-6 marauders and mostly stim bio as opposed to with medevacs. So it's a lot easier to hold off, which then again fights against the meta for Protoss. Protoss look at that build as less reliable. In the past it was like a joke to watch SOS just murder through all the Terrans, and it was just terrible games. Now it's a little bit more, you'll still see the build, but they're taking a chance that they're going for a fast 3rd CC or that they can hide it better. So you see it less.
Now, moving into the late game, when you start seeing Terran you can't let the Protoss go. You don't stop his economy. You don't get that good read on the tech. You just can't let the Protoss go. That's still the state of the matchup. But we see a lot of Terran getting better at it, and I'd say that that's more of an evolution of understanding of the meta. You know, you have to be ready to counter with Vikings if he's got Colossi. You have to be able to take away splash damage from the Storms and get those ghosts early enough and be ready to counter that. So would you say that, I know that it's hard to go Zealot Archon now with the Widowmine change, but would you say that overall it's more a development of the meta is why we're seeing Terran not get crushed is that they've developed that understanding now of the late game as well?
I can't help but think every time you say the late game, for as long as the show goes, every fucking time.
You'll get used to it.
I should be still going, hey, the late game.
Subversive, you know. Say it more and make you guys think about it.
Unless you go the way of the Artosis and the show's like 3 weeks.
My goal is 4.
That's good. It's more than Artosis. That's all I have to contribute, guys. I'm waiting for CatZ to actually be a participant of the show.
Well, hey, it's PvT. What the fuck? This is your guys'.
Hey,
this is Todd and iNcontroL.
He's got Terrans and Protoss. He knows shit. Right?
To answer your question about the late game and like Storm and all that, I mean, we all know the changes like that took place, and that Widowmine change that basically makes Charge Lot Templar almost impossible to be used as an opener now. So the matchup has changed a lot. Like, you're kind of forced to open Colossus, and then SCV pulls are like super strong. So it's just this weird situation. But like overall, depending on how you play, you have to play fairly passive as Protoss. Like, you can't move out across the map and attack, because every attack is a potential all-in. So if you fail with that attack, then you basically lost. So what Protoss can do is send Zealots everywhere, do some War Prisms here and there. But like when it starts getting to the late game, and we're gonna say, I guess, that from a moment where you're 4 base against 4 base, it's already kind of late game. Like, there is ghosts and all that, then it's all about the Templar versus Ghost control. What I think we haven't seen much is Tempest transitions, just because Terrans, they know that they have to keep on being aggressive against Protoss. You can't just sit back. Like, the standard PvT that goes into a late game is a Terran that's dropping the entire game, trying to find a hole here and there, scanning, seeing if there is any army in the main. If there is, you don't drop. If there isn't, then you can drop. And if there is, like, not only you don't drop, but you also attack somewhere else, because then there's army idle in the main of the Protoss doing nothing. So like the Templars late game are the main point right now where it's mostly decided. Like if you have a Terran that's very good at scanning, that has a lot of map awareness and that never gets stormed, and he has like a good maxed out army supply with lots of ghosts, he's never gonna lose. The thing is, it's super hard to do and it almost never happens. So that's where it usually is decided before we can go into. I don't think I've seen a 5th base or a 6th base all that often in PvT recently.
Yeah, I think the Terran late game composition is probably the hardest to control out of anything in the game. So I don't think there's many players in the world that can actually control it properly. We saw even Flash struggling with it in his last series against who was it? Nimbus?
Stardust? Yep.
Yep.
Well, that was in his last series.
Well, his last TVP, was it?
Didn't he then lose?
Oh no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No.
Is it harder for Terran to control this army than for Zerg to control like Blinding Cloud, Fungal, Queens, and all that?
I think so,
corruption?
because the thing is, with that Zerg army composition, you have to do it once, whereas with Terran, you have to dance against the storm, so you have to kind of keep controlling the army. Whereas with Zerg, you set up nicely, and it's really hard to pull off like the first attack. But once it's done, everything's fungled and blinding clouded, and it's rinse repeat. Whereas with Terran, you have to, dance your army around.
Like
the storm.
even if you started the fight, like with Terran, like your ghost wandered forward too much, like one High Templar auto feedbacks. Like there's like it seems like with Terran, you're always until the fight is absolutely over, like you're always dancing on that razor edge, like where you fuck up one bad storm catches, like a big ball of units or a bunch of feedbacks catch a bunch of ghosts. Like it always seems like you're on that razor edge with Terran, and then it can swing back against you like instantly, because Protoss can warp in an army instantly, and Terran has to wait for the racks to rebuild.
It's a funny line that they walk though, because like then that Terran hits that frickin' sweet spot where for 2 minutes they are scanning, sniping, and EMPing all your Templar, and then you go in without Templar and your army just absolutely frickin' melts.
Yeah, if you don't have any AoE
scenario, the best case scenario for the Protoss is to be dropping those storms from multiple angles, and not like necessarily just outside their base, but trying to hit it mid map where it's like they can kite their army backwards, they can land some of those sloppy storms on the Terran because it is such a hard army to control, and you can soften them up enough or pick off enough Vikings where when it does come to the full engagement, either you're still sneaking in Templar, which is something they still have to be worried about, or you have 3 to 4 Colossus that are not facing 10 plus Vikings that are picking them down as the fight goes on. And that's how Protoss wins that fight. It seems to be that way every single time almost.
In MC versus Flash, I think the first time they met at IEM Toronto, one of the things that he was doing is he'd take about 3 High Templar and he'd sneak them around the back of the army to get that storm drop. So Flash is focused on the front of the army trying to get his ghost to the front, get the snipes or the EMPs off, and then MC managed just to save a couple and to go around back. And I feel that it's very smart because a lot of times you're focused, you're making sure you don't get caught off guard by those Templar. And second time around, you saw that Flash learned, and he was not able to get caught off guard by those same moves.
Yeah, not just that. MC has been playing his own style for the longest time. He's like kind of the only one that makes it work. Where like even if he goes into some blink play and somehow commits to it and it doesn't work, he can come back in games just by getting charge, getting a few sentries, and committing a lot to blink stalkers and charge lots before he goes into either Colossus or Storm. Usually he's very good at tricking his opponents. Like we saw a bunch of series from him where his opponent thought he was up against Storm and then it was Colossus and vice versa. And I think that was more what happened against Flash. Whereas what you mentioned, even though it's pretty interesting, I feel like it's been around for a long time, the Templar control and trying to stay out of the vision of the Terran. And they've got a lot better at countering that, like making sure they don't get flanked from behind. Like if you're a Terran and you go forward and you have ghosts and you scan the main Protoss army and you see like there is only 2 or 3 Templars in it and you know for a fact you're going to be able to snipe and EMP them, the next step is making sure there is no ghosts that come in from behind. And like going to the series, it kind of felt like the first match that they played, Flash didn't particularly know what to expect and hadn't done much prep. And then for the second series though, like he was on point and he just crushed MC.
Yeah, it was definitely a great series to watch.
Crazy idea, thought. What if Terrans built sensor
Uh-oh.
towers with their bushes?
I mentioned that many times. I mentioned that so many times, and some Terrans say that, like, it's an interesting point, but like realistically, it just seems difficult. Like you have to move to
I
the
don't
middle
think-
of the map
I
or
think
something.
It's
Like
not though.
No, it's not. It's one of those things
Yeah.
where like it just hasn't been done because they're kind of lazy. This reminds me of that
Yeah.
time when who was it? Like the random guy on Reddit wrote like, "Why doesn't Terran make sensor tower for Blinkle?" And he got downvoted like 400. I was like, "You fucking idiot! No one does that." And then like I don't remember which pro Terran it was. Like did it literally like the next few days and like held off a Blinkle perfectly because of it. I don't know, man. Sensor towers are so fucking good. I'm surprised not to see just like one SCV like just walking out with the army to just throw one down in the middle of the map. Seems like
It reminds
so
me-
helpful.
My favorite one that predates this one was the difficulty of swapping a starport with a tech lab versus a
Oh.
reactor. Terrans are
No.
like, abso-fucking-lutely not. Do you understand the clicks that takes? And it's like, well, yeah, but the Raven with the army gives you detection. PDD shuts down stalkers. Like you're able to kill observers as you go. It's really nice.
This
And they're like,
argument,
they're
this
like,
went on for
"Oh,
like 2 years.
where do I
This is-
find the clicks for that? Where
This is
do
like-
I find them?
This is like 2 years of Terrans not doing this too. This lasts until like fucking Heart of the Swarm. Jesus.
The sensor tower, though, to make a serious point, by the way, guys, for any Terrans out there listening, holy God, is that a good idea? Because it's not that super expensive of a building. It doesn't take fucking forever to make. And yes, you'll see the flanking Templar, which is the big deal, but you'll see everything else too. Zealots like breaking off to go counterattack another fight. It also intimidates the Protoss too when they see that they're like there's a light shined on their naked body. They're like, oh Jesus, like well then I just won't try Templar flanking because obviously it won't work. So it just shuts down strategies almost on like the meta level. It's good.
Like, and you have to defend your race here, because I'm sure there's like some Terrans that are like, no, like right now, like some pro Terrans that are like, oh, these guys are stupid.
I'm lower than them, so my opinions get bashed down. But I do make the Raven especially if I know he's been throwing in Dark Templar into it and going Observer heavy. I do throw the Raven into it.
What about the control tower
The sensor tower.
or the sensor tower? The sensor tower.
It depends on the map. Map like Catalina. I don't want to get flanked by and I know he's been doing drop play. I'll put one on the right.
we're talking about TVP, playing against Templars, not against drops and all
You
that.
need to pay attention, Lycan. Okay, you gotta.
Come on, Lycan.
But like,
Step it up.
I think the problem is
Fucking
leapfrogging
Terran
with
players,
it.
without their without their scanning, they don't know what's going on. God, this is why we don't have Terran hosts.
Like you just talked about Catalina, for example. Like by the time you reach the middle of the map, if you play against a Protoss who already has like 10 Templars, you're gonna get stormed. And as much as you're gonna be able to start a sensor tower, your army is probably gonna already be dead.
Yeah.
If you can't make sure you don't get stormed. So like, how do you deal with that? I guess you leapfrog forward, but you kind of need to start in the middle of the map. So on a map like merry-go-round, it probably would be really good to do something like that. Like if you're maxed out. But by then, like, yeah, I don't know if this is all that's the most important, because by then, supposedly, like, if you get in this situation where like you have the unbeatable army with like a lot of ghosts and stuff, supposedly there should be Tempest. So it's very situational. But I feel like, yeah, on a map like merry-go-round, I guess, if you take the middle of the map, you already have that vision. Then you can go forward a little bit with sensor towers, make sure you don't get stormed, and it could do well. But on bigger maps, I don't think it'd be that good, because even though the range of the sensor tower is pretty massive, like, is it enough to go forward like quickly and make sure it's actually going to be useful
Well,
before the Protoss can make something happen?
What I can't get past though, Todd, is I agree with you on all points. It's better on some maps than others. But I think what makes this such an interesting argument is I don't think there's a strong argument for not doing it. Even on a map that's so big that maybe it's not going to be that great, we're not talking about a 600 gas structure that's like infinitely hard to recoup the losses from. It's actually fairly inexpensive, and if we're
What, is
talking
this
about
like
mid to late game pushes,
150?
you can afford it.
What's
Terran
the
has
cost
gas
of
to
this?
spare.
125, 100.
125,
Yeah.
100?
Yeah, that's pretty cheap. And Terran has gas to spare at that point, I think.
Yeah, of course.
Just
I
build
also
it
think it's
equal with your
interesting-
push. That's all that
it's
people
in-
are saying.
It's really interesting to think about what iNcontroL says too, like on a psychology level, having scouting like that, like having that there, sometimes that just blocks plays from happening. I mean, I know that there are games that I play in ZVT where like if I have my overlord spread well enough, like there will be like a Terran drop that's like halfway across the map, and my army's not in position at all. It's like, well, if he drops me, I'm fucked. But because they see the Overlord, they like turn around. It's like, oh, well, fucking sick, because they assume they're ready for it. You know, having the sensor tower up might be like something like, oh, I'm not even gonna try to flank, you know, the High Templar, or I'm not gonna try to, you know, maybe send that War Prisoner around or whatever. I don't know. That's a crazy, having access to that much vision on the minimap seems crazy fucking good. But it might be one of those things also where since we don't play the race, maybe we're just assholes about it and we actually wouldn't do it. I don't know if like remember.
Yeah.
You remember like I say that kind of as a joke, but you know like anytime you see this is a long running joke. Anytime a Zerg tries to play Protoss and they move out, they've got like 4 Stalkers, 2 Zealots, and like 27 Sentries. So, like force field is so good. Like I'm just gonna go fucking win right now. You know I don't know. Maybe it's the same thing.
Then they melt away and they're like, well, fucking.
Yeah. It's like well fuck. Yeah. My sentries have no damage. I don't know what's going on here. I can't kill anything.
All right, guys.
that
Well,
might be the case.
was that guys?
Yeah, that might be the case. So.
Yeah. So as you can tell, I'm not the highest level. I'd say I agree with you, Steve, on the map vision. When I see it when I'm playing in the TVT and I see the other Marines, that each base makes me not want to expand. It makes me not want to do my drops. It pushes me back and it makes me think, okay, maybe I have to move out full army instead of going piece by piece because he's going to be ready for it. But I think we finished that topic. Let's move on to glitch dust. So, did everyone see the game between Stardust and Flash when those 2 Colossi glitched?
Yep.
Okay, so for those of you who didn't see it, it happened twice. Flash was doing a drop into Stardust natural, and he was force fielded in, but it wasn't really doing anything. He was spreading hate and discontent along the mineral line, killing probes because these 2 Colossi were stuck on the top ledge and couldn't get down. And this happened again. There was a fight with Flash later on. I'd say he had 3 or 4 Colossi, Stardust did, and there was one that was also glitched again in the exact same spot. So afterwards, a lot of people posted saying, hey, you know, this kind of sucks for him that, you know, that happened. And Stardust even tweeted after, hey, I could have won, you know, but glitch. So I wanted to talk about how you can look at that situation, whether or not you can truly say that glitch worked. That glitch was the reason that he didn't win that game, because it was also game 5. It was tied up 2-2.
I didn't just see it. It also happens in all of my games, so I know all about it. No, but it's something that's been around for some time, and I feel like by now it's kind of sad that it hasn't been fixed. But like as pro gamers, if you know that this is likely to happen on the map you supposedly play a ton of games on, and I'm sure he's played a ton of games on against Terran on it, you should be extra careful that doesn't happen. And like talking directly about the game that was played on it, I don't know, I thought he was already in a lot of trouble. I didn't particularly think this affected the game all that much, but yeah, obviously this definitely shouldn't be happening and it should be getting fixed, and I hope this episode and all that happened is gonna help in getting it fixed.
I believe that the map maker made a post afterwards and he said that he is making the adjustments for it.
Did he apologize?
Yes, actually he did. He seemed very upset, and well, so I understand that, you know, that shouldn't happen, but if you think about it from the perspective of programming, glitches happen. Every dev at the Irving campus could have played this before they put it actually into the server for production, and played it for 3 months straight, nonstop, only this map, and that, you know, glitch could have still happened. Now, you said you've seen it before. I've never seen, you know, I don't play Protoss, and I haven't heard about it before, but if you think about Flash, you know, you have to then calculate Flash's decision making. You know, if there was that extra Colossi, would Flash have been able to control his Vikings in his bio in a way that took account for that? If he had that drop stopped, I think he killed maybe 10 probes. Would those 10 probes have been enough to save Stardust by that point? You know, for him to carry on.
I didn't watch the series. What was the glitch?
What's the Foxtrot Labs?
Here's the GIF of it.
Yeah, you know, Foxtrot Labs, when you're in the bottom right-hand side, around the natural, Colossus do the mating dance instead of going down the ramp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, mineral, yeah.
Oh yeah, now you know.
No, I know that. I have Foxtrot crossed off, actually, but that's pretty funny that it did that.
Yeah, it's probably happened to you as well, much like me. And it doesn't just happen on this map. I think there is some other maps where we had that happen a few times in the past.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just super annoying. Like during a fight, I don't think you can really see it. Like you have your army, and usually you're looking at the opponent's army. You're trying to split properly and like do other things.
Not to beat a dead horse, but I mean, like, in Brood War, like, you had issues with this all the time with certain units. Like, it's a little bit, like... Yeah,
but
I
you
mean,
you had them. Didn't you have them like on every map? So like
Yeah,
it was like
so,
per
but-
units, whereas
but
here
the
it's like
idea-
one map and one unit.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying that like in those games, I hate to fucking bring up the Bruber argument, but like you would learn like where do your units fuck up at so that you like avoid glitches like that. You know, it's almost like I don't know if I would say this is exactly comparable, but it would be like me building like a pylon and a gateway right next to my nexus and like a top left spawn, and then like my first zealot always gets stuck or whatever, or something dumb like that. I'd be like, oh, glitch, you know, like. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it's a little bit glitchy, but I mean, it seems like at least you guys know
Yeah.
that this glitch
Yeah.
exists. So it's
You're
a
fucking
little.
shit with Protoss anyway, so that would make sense.
I don't look too.
What do you-
I don't.
what?
It is probably because of my Brood War pass, but when I see something like this, because even like the 3 games I've played on Foxtrot, this has happened every single
Yeah.
time you're bottom right. If you just
You
rally
just
the
learn to
bosses
rally
out, it will
differently.
always stick there, or at least one of them will. And I don't know. It sucks. You should never design a map where this thing could happen because we all agree it is a mistake. It's not like, nope, that's part of the difficulty of the map, Protoss Colossus. But in retrospect, the guy apologized, said he's going to fix it. Cool. But I don't think. And I haven't. The part of the reason I didn't see this, I didn't watch the match, but there hasn't been a whole lot of buzz about it because I don't think there should be, to be honest with you. It's like, yeah, that happens, but like Steven said too, if you put buildings too close together in certain maps, probes will get stuck. Excuse me. Zealots will get stuck. That's just
It's just something like
that's
you
part
should.
of the game. Just part
You
of the
should
game.
know this if you've been playing a lot. Like I said, like neither just you two. I mean, like iNcontroL and even
Mhm.
Todd has played enough
Even
games
Todd.
to. Even Todd has played enough games to see that this glitch happens. So it's kind of weird that he wasn't aware of that. I don't know.
But don't you think
Yeah,
it's
I-
very different saying like basically like your SimCity can screw you on some maps and rallying
Yeah.
Colossus to your natural like you would on any other map then?
It is
Doesn't
different.
really
I
work.
mean, like,
It's
oh
just a
god,
part of the
dead
game, is I think
horse.
our argument.
Where's Milky's at? Like, there are different strategies that weren't even possible depending upon which base you would spawn at because of the different ways, like, that you could wall in Brood War or whatever. Like, the different walls you could make at different bases or whatever would be completely and totally different. Like, the strategies
Oh
you
no,
could
no.
use
There was
spawn.
some bases that literally mine gas faster in Brood War.
Yeah,
So we-
or yeah, the top extract. Yeah, like, so I mean, is it a little bit goofy? I mean, I guess, but that's kind of the.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
kind
Steven.
of like you just learn the map.
Wait.
Like-
We can't go charge Lost Templar because there is the Widow Mines. And now on Foxtrot we can't go Colossus either because
You
there is
just
the
rally
glitch.
different. Wait, you just rally differently. Set a waypoint.
yeah, you just have to be on
Hold
top
down,
of the rally.
if you hold down
Yeah,
shift
it-
on the keyboard and then you click, you can actually set like so that it'll walk to one place first and then go to the next place.
I'm sure there's places you can place your row where you wouldn't even have to. rally.
Or yeah, you can.
It's being fixed. I think it's an interesting debate because like Todd's saying, like this is not intended and it is bad
Yeah,
for
sure.
one specific situation. So in that light, Todd is not wrong. I think the mitigating argument that is for me, I use the word compelling, but really what it does for me is make this kind of boring. Is that this has always been around. These kind of things they get fixed when they're found, but when it happens in a competitive match, when I hear glitch that like ends a game, I'm thinking of like Counter-Strike where if you flash in the corner of a pixelated wall, it actually mega flashes everywhere on the other side of the map. Like that's actually fucked up. This is something he absolutely should have known about. He wasn't paying attention because StarCraft's a beautiful game and there's so much shit going on that he just didn't think about it at the time, and it ended up having an impact. That shit's been going on since 2005, guys. It's been going on forever. So it's kind of like, yeah, it sucks, but the guy's not going to be lynched. We're not going to, you'll never make another map again. And he's like ran out of StarCraft City or something like that. Like, it just happens and it sucks.
I don't know. I mean, Richard Lewis hasn't published his article on it. I'm just-
Broken pathways instead of promises. Like this whole
Oh, shit.
series that starts with number 1 and then number 2 and 3 never show up ever again. But
Uh-oh.
that'd be sick.
All right. Well, I think
Anyway, yeah.
End
Anyway,
scene.
end scene.
iNcontroL
All
said
right.
it best. It's nobody's making a big deal about it because it's really not a big deal. And just it sucked that it happened. We'll get fixed. Move on.
Except for us.
Well,
Well,
we just
Todd.
did move on.
I was really upset.
Todd's actually Googling right now to confirm if that shift queue. As a Protoss player, he's never even known if the shift queue units around before.
I know it hits you, imbecile. I'm searching for the video.
He knows this, man.
You weren't even born that I was playing RTS, don't forget that.
What? How old are you?
Oh.
Am I not older than you?
Todd's older than you. Yeah.
How old is Todd?
29.
Holy shit!
Who's your daddy now?
He's ancient.
Hey, watch your mouse in control.
I'm 29 as well, man. I can say that. We're
You're-
both ancient. Yeah, we're relics.
All right. So moving on, best of X. Should the semifinals be best of 3, or do you guys think that that's too intense a point in the game, too intense a point in the tournament, where that should be 5? Because you can just cheese your way, bam, you're in the quarterfinals.
Whoa, what are we talking about? DreamHack?
Are you
DreamHack.
insinuating that 2-Rex is cheese?
Okay,
Is that
that
the insinuation?
I actually got rustled when people talk about this, and like
Get 'em.
Death Row and a bunch of other d-bags like brought this up on Twitter, like having no clue about like anything, like scheduling, the fact that DreamHack was
Yeah.
in Moscow and that a lot was out of control of like the actual
Time
main
constraints.
people organizing the tournament.
Right.
People had to be out by a certain time. There is a lot of unplanned things. Like you never know how long the series is gonna last too. Like in terms of schedule, it was all over the place. One second we were ahead, another second we were behind. Like you can't know what's gonna happen. So I don't think that best of 5 was even really a possibility for DreamHack in this case.
Okay,
if
that's
it
like
was-
that was the shittiest argument ever, though. Like we're talking like philosophically, like do we think best of 3s
Yeah.
and best of 5s are appropriate? Not like scheduling.
no.
Like, because you can make the same argument for best of 1s. Like we had to do best
Sure.
of 1s, otherwise we wouldn't play the tournament. Like
But in order to answer this, like even from your perspective, to argue this, it's about perspective too. Like for you and for us, so from a player's perspective, they would argue best of 5 or best of 7 probably. From an observer perspective, they would like best of 9 or best of 81 or best of 377, depending on how hardcore and at the top of Reddit they are. From a organizer perspective, which is what Todd was talking from, it had to be best of 3 because there is shit like, well, the hall closes at a certain hour. We literally could not, the worst thing in the world would be like, and now, tied 2 apiece, we're gonna, what's that? Huh? We're gonna bring it from replays later tonight when they play from the comforts of their hotel rooms. Like, you can't fucking do that. It would murder the whole tournament. So, best of 3 the entire way through is something that DreamHack has had to do because of time constraints and stuff like that. So if we're talking about philosophically what's the best final, my own opinion is like best of 5, best of 7. Certainly best of 3 is not ideal. It's too short. It feels anticlimactic, but for a lot of reasons, a lot of these tournaments have to do that. Then there's IEM, by the way, which has like a week-long tournament, and they have a whole day for their finals a lot of times, so they can do a best of 5, best of 7, or if they wanted a best of 9,
Yeah.
Steven, was that about 2 racks?
oh no, well a lot of people were mad as fuck because of MMA 2-Rexing, yeah, Snoot or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
He did that 2-0, fuck him. I mean, I don't know. I guess if it comes down to like a scheduling thing, then I mean, there's nothing else you can really say.
Best of
I mean,
3
it
sucks for a final.
Best of 3 is a shitty.
Those
Best
are
of 3s are
semis.
yeah, those are semis, not finals. Finals were best of 5, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so.
Not for DreamHack. Their finals are best of 3, I believe, aren't they?
Are they really?
Were they? I didn't watch the finals.
Finals went on my to watch list for this show, so I didn't watch.
No, it was best of 5 the finals. Everything else best of 3.
Doesn't
Whereas
DreamHack normally do best of 3 though? Do I remember this wrong?
I thought
I
that
think
somebody did a best of 3 finals once, and people were mad as fuck over it. I don't think it was
I'm
DreamHack.
pretty sure. I thought DreamHack always does best of 3 finals. Like, no, it says they were best of 5. Okay, best of 5's okay.
Yeah.
Semi best of 3. Yeah, that might have been what everyone's always complained about. That does suck too. Ideally for me, it's like best of 5 semis, best of 7 final. I really like that. But like we said,
Yeah.
time stuff. It doesn't work out that way a lot. of
But I
times.
think you covered it very well. Like IEM is like a 4 days event. A DreamHack Open, like the one in Moscow, is 2 days. Like, I don't think you can do much more than what it is now. Like, otherwise, you would have to basically say like, oh, you know what, we can do best of 5 if we are really like, if we have a lot of time. But then players would have to agree. But then it becomes like this thing where
Maybe
it's just too
cut out-
difficult to explain, too difficult to make
I-
happen.
I think
Cut out
we've
some earlier
defeated this
games?
topic.
Oh wow.
What?
Was that?
I think we won, right, on this topic.
One.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I think we all agree.
I think any gamer would agree though that like especially when you hit semis, like best of 3s aren't like real series, right? You don't see anything that interesting in a best of 3 because when you're down 0-1 in a series, like after the first game, like it's like everything is like so fucking there's like no breathing room, right? Like if you're playing a best of 3 and you're down 0-1, like fuck, like you have to play like some crazy like serious fucking games because you're any loss at that point is you're done, right? Whereas like at least in a best of 5 and even better so in a best of 7 or best of 9, if you lose one game, you still have some breathing room. You can still do some weird shit. You don't have to feel like fuck, if I lose this game, I'm out of the fucking tournament. Like, like that's why I like best of 5s and best of 7s. When you have two good players playing each other, like what you often get, hopefully in the semifinals of a tournament, I like there to be at least a best of 5. Because in a best of 3, you're down 0-1. Jesus fuck, you're one loss away. Like, it seems like there's so much more limiting shit on the player there in that best of 3, in my opinion.
I think everyone will agree with you. I don't know. I'd go as far as to say there's nothing interesting in a best of 3, but best of 5, best of 7's ideal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
CatZ, did you get to watch the game with MMA and Snoop?
Yeah, I
All right.
watched those games.
So second game, I don't know much about Zerg as a player, but I saw a lot of cases where I thought that as a Terran, if he had speed, I would have been screwed. And it took him a long time to get speed. Is that just can't afford to put in for Baneling speed, or do you think that is that was just a mistake?
Pretty much. No, it was not a mistake. I mean, Snoop was way, way, way behind. He basically lost the game in the first 5 minutes, and then he managed to stay in the game for another 20, just off of how good he is. I think that was. I think MMA exploited his weaknesses pretty well and took a gamble on the 2 racks twice, but I don't know. Snoot was just hanging on the skin of his teeth, and I'm sure if he would have taken a very decisive engagement, then he, gets the lair faster, the upgrades faster, baneling speed faster, maybe one thing at a time. And he eventually got to do that, and he upgrades.
I wonder what's your analysis of this series actually in terms of like why did Turax work against Paul first? Isn't it supposed to be good for the Zerg? Like I was kind of surprised.
That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I mean, if you scout the Turax, then it's great for the Zerg, right? But if you don't see it, then by the time that he sees it, his hatchery is done. It's pretty much the exact same thing. You've already been spending your larvae and drones.
If anything, it's even worse because your economy can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That idea that pull first is better against T-Rex, that's totally not fucking true. Unless you scout it early and you can start preparing early. Right. And even at that, a long time ago, because I talked to a lot of people, I know Sheth, this is a long fucking time ago, Sheth and Red, a lot of people would even disagree then, and that they would say, if you know the T-Rex is coming, it's still better to 15 hatch, because the creep is out there earlier, you can get a second queen earlier, and you've got more larvae and shit. So that idea that pull first auto counters T-Rex, that's completely wrong. It's not true at all.
So what could Snoot have done better except drone scouts? Just that?
Just that. Or he could have canceled the natural. I don't know. I would have handled it differently, but I think I would have handled it differently than most players. So
yeah, no shit, you'll proxy a hatch in his base. You're unlike anybody else.
Yeah.
The thing about T-Rex is it's always been so damn good. It always has. All maps, all of time. And it's funny because it's like, I feel like a lot of Terrans have always known that, and they don't practice it. You don't see it on ladder that often, or as often, I guess. And you guys are the true Zerg players, so you'll be like, iNcontroL's an idiot. But I feel like you don't see it as much. And then in tournaments, it's all over the place in tournaments because it's just so damn good all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those builds where, even on fucking NAEG, I run into that shit. Somebody T-Rex me, fuck me, I'm auto dead. I just die every fucking time. But I'm terrible at holding off. But I mean, hey, Snoot is too, right? I mean, it seems like the T-Rex is it's like the Protoss Cannon Rush, pre-SOS, where everybody on ladder would do it, and it was so fucking good, and you just auto loot. They get the pylon up, you didn't scout. It's oh well, I lose. Good job, Cannon Rush. And then SOS finally starts doing it in games and tournaments. And be oh god, Cannon Rushing is actually good versus Zerg. So it seems like T-Rex is that way sometimes. I don't think T-Rex has ever stopped being good. It's still really even if it's scouted, if you're playing. It's a gamble, but if the Terran player if they're known for having really good micro, even if it's scouted, I still think that's a close hold. It's still 40-60 or 45-55, even if you're unless you really early scout and you can cancel it with drones or something.
Well, that's what I like about it though is it's hard to punish the Terran. A lot of time it comes so there's the two different kinds of two racks. There's the ones where they bring half their mineral line, or there's the one where they bring 2 or 3. And if you build 3 or 4 spine crawlers, or you make a shit ton of lings, and they just barely get the wall into 2 marines behind it, all of a sudden you've got 20 slow lings, and you've killed your drone count anyways. They've got the CC building behind it. That's the part about it that really kills me is that it becomes it's not quite a coin flip for the Zerg, but some bitter Zergs might make that argument. But what it is it's like a hey, you could literally die to this. It's that strong. Or you could overreact to this and die 10 minutes later. It's really up to you. Or there's the third option, which is basically
that's the
you
key,
come
though.
out equal. Like you're not even ahead of the Terran. You're
Yeah.
just equal with them.
That's the
Kind
key,
of
though.
like a six pull with macro behind, if you think about it. No.
No.
Is that saucy?
Yeah, man.
Six
imagine
pull puts
six
you.
pull.
Oh my god.
I
No,
cut you off with CatZ.
You didn't listen. Six pull where you can macro very well behind it. Because six pull is very
How do you
strong,
do
it
that,
comes
Paul?
early, but then you can't macro behind it. But now with the two racks, it's like not only you have some very, very strong attack, but then you can actually macro behind it somehow. I'm talking hypothetic. You know, I'm trying to compare it. Yeah.
Stutter
So-
step those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I think the key is that, like iNcontroL said, it's up to you, right? It's up to the Zerg. So it's a gamble, and that's what it comes down to for me. Like if it gets scouted, you should most likely fall behind. So that's why you don't see it that often. But then again, it's a really good strategy if you know your opponent doesn't drone scout or you know where he scouts.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, does Snoot 13 drone scout every game, or 12 or 13 drone scout, or no?
He
Usually
didn't
not.
in that service, I think.
He didn't on any. Oh, okay. I think if you don't drone scout it, I think that's almost an auto loss. If you're playing against a really good Terran player, I don't think you can hold it if you don't scout it.
Yeah, actually, Snoot beat MMA in quarterfinals of Gfinity, that tournament that Bunny won, and then in semifinals he played Bunny, and
Uh-huh.
Bunny two racks, I think, in at least one of the games and won. And then from there it was pretty clear that Snoot seems to kind of struggle against the two racks, but somehow seems to be like a little bit stubborn with not trying to really scout it. Then again, I mean, if you play MMA, you don't really expect him to two racks like 2 games in a row, which is it's
Yeah.
funny if you think about it, because I remember like actually like I casted that DreamHack, and like my impression of MMA and like my analysis of like his play pre-game would have been that basically he's very good at countering his opponents. Like remember that GSL finals that he played against MVP, where just like all in because he knew that MVP was trying to play too safe. I really thought that against Snoot there wasn't anything that he could do like that, but I guess 2 racksing 2 games in a row made sense against somebody that just seemed to struggle against that. It also reminds me of when Mana couldn't really beat Stefano, and Stefano did have like a little bit of a weakness against Immortal Push, and then Mana just did it twice in a row at ESWC or something and then beat him.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah,
if Snoot's.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, I wonder if Snoot's just like, if Snoot just thinks like, oh well, I'm just not gonna drone scout. If they 2-rex me, I lose, but otherwise I'm in a really good spot because I'm playing like super greedy. I wonder if that's
No.
just like his rationale.
No, I think that like scouting or not scouting for the Zerg is kind of something that you have to mix in, because scouting is so expensive and not scouting can be you can die to 2 racks. So it's likely that he just didn't scout game 2 because are you really gonna 2 racks 2 games in a row, and MMA did it. So that's what I think from my perspective. Why he didn't scout game 2 is just like, you just did that. I doubt you're gonna do it again.
That's the tough math of StarCraft 2, though, as well, is like, do I drone scout every single game? Okay, well, let's see the ratio of what that would find. Something like 8 or 9 times out of 10, you're going to see the exact same Terran opener, which is like Reaper opening or, well, it's going to be Reaper opening. And then it's going to be that 1 out of 10 times that you actually find the 2 racks. And then that's that funny argument where it's like, well, 1 out of 10 times, it saves you from potentially just flat out losing the game. But the other 9 games, it puts you just a little bit behind against a more generic opening. So mathematically, you do that analysis and you look at it and you say, well, no, I don't do it then, because it's overall a net loss, right?
And that's
Yeah,
what I was saying with
exactly.
Snoot, where like if Snoot's just like, I'm just not gonna drone scout ever, and against most builds I'll be fine. If they 2-rex me, I'm dead. But I don't.
Well,
I
he
don't
wouldn't
know
do
what
that.
his
That would,
actual
work on that would work on the ladder, but that wouldn't work in a tournament. You still have to
Yeah,
mix
yeah.
in the scout tournament.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree with Jeff. I mean, especially in this meta right now, every Terran pretty much opens Reaper. There's more openers now than there were maybe a month or 2 ago. But generically, yeah, maybe like seven times out of 10, it's a Reaper opener. So drone scouting just kind of hurts you a bit.
That's why even from the Protoss perspective, there's a lot of Protoss that don't actually probe scout at all, because more often than not you'll find the same thing. And then there's that middle tier of Protoss that actually just scout their main and maybe down below their ramp for proxy gates. And then they're done with that. But even in Korean play, there's that 10 gate, the single 10 gate proxy that you're seeing a lot of. There's still 2 gates, like Hero is opening up almost every single one of his PvPs with that, and Zest was mixing it as well. And that's because a lot of Protoss are like, well, I probe scout, I show up to the base, and I see the same damn thing every single time. It's 2 gas, like 13 or 12 gate or 13 every time, same thing. So they just don't do it to get that little bit of an advantage. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty similar for Zerg. You can also scout at like 13 and just scout around your base for proxies. But yeah, I mean, if you want to scout the Terran normally, I think you scout at 10 or so. I scout at 13. I don't give a shit.
Wait, Zerg's got a 10 for proxy racks?
No. If you want to scout the Terran main, a lot of the time I think that's a standard scout time.
Oh,
but
the Terran.
13 around the, you can scout at 13 for just proxies.
Sounds like you guys live in fear.
Pretty
We
fucking
do.
scary, man.
Yeah, man, it's a scary world out there.
You just wait for that second queen to come out, and then all of a sudden 4 Marines and 6 SCVs start just walking to your base. Like, fuck.
No.
It's the worst feeling in the world. You wouldn't understand because you can transform your nexuses into the fucking planetary.
All right.
Yeah, against Turax, I don't think you have it quite yet. Actually,
He's
it's
up
similar.
over there, Avilo. He's up over there, Avilo. Okay.
Push the button and just win the game. The win game button. Was he the one that did that? Was he the Terran? Was like, well, put the win game button right
He
there.
gets mad. He'll actually start.
Overcharge.
Anyway, we don't need to go there just yet.
Oh, yeah.
We're
We're
not
talking about
selling
the game
ourselves
here.
for viewership.
Yeah.
Another
Does
thing
Avilo
that helps out
remind
a lot of
anyone
Terrans, or Zergs
Daffy
rather,
Duck?
is
The what?
no,
No.
cats. Don't be a racist, please. A lot of the maps. Look, okay. I don't know how they do things in Mexico, but up here in the big country, we don't do that. A lot of the maps where it's 1v1 and your Overlord can be in a pathway where it sees the SCVs being pulled is another map where that can help for the 2 racks rushes as well, because if it's just naked Marines and 1 or 2 SCVs, that's much more manageable. It's still hard to hold, obviously, but it's manageable. It's the maps where you can't see the 6 SCVs that are coming to your base until they're at your natural, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I just died because I made 4 drones.
Actually, and even I'm not getting into too much QQ, but like even that's not necessarily true. If you send CatZ can agree me wrong because he would know this better than me, but if you send an Overlord to scout for SCVs being pulled when you're holding up for 3X, if the Terran sees that Overlord and kills it with Marines, I think that's an auto loss. I don't think you can possibly survive. If losing an Overlord at that point and getting supply block, I think that the hold becomes like infinitely more difficult at that point. I'm actually surprised that is that right? Do you think you could ever hold off
Yeah,
the Rex
yeah.
if you lost to Scouting Overlord? Right.
No.
I wouldn't say you can never, but yeah, it definitely puts you in an even
If you're playing
worse
against like MMA, you're probably like ultra fucked. Like,
I mean, probably. If I'm playing against MMA, I'm probably fucked no matter what, man.
what? I'm actually surprised you don't see more T-Rexes on that Foxtrot map. You can like T-Rex from the low ground. It's like a long walk, but if you bring like a lot of SCVs, I don't know. Have you ever seen people do that before? Where they put like one Marine like down like in that little nudge, and then they use it to like assist the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty common. I mean, yeah, T-Rex is pretty good.
All right. Wow, such topic.
All right. Well, we're gonna
This
go.
guy's linking all these A. LeMayo fucking pictures.
He's groping shit right now.
All right, we're gonna go into a break here, some 5 minutes, and
Next topic.
Whoa.
I was testing you. Thank you guys. Glad you have my back.
Are we passing here?
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna be back. 5 minutes break. We will see you in a few.
All right, good luck.
One click fix, and we're back in control. CatZ, Destiny, Todd, and myself. We are moving on to a highlight reel, which is
Wait, we got problems.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. You fixed it. It fixed.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah.
shit.
It says highlight reel now. So give me
Vaping.
CatZ. Hopefully,
If he actually
Water
told
vape.
you, the stream would get pulled from Twitch.
Yeah. CatZ comes from what cartel is your family actually?
Watermelon color.
El
The
Cortito Mortos.
Remember CatZ's NASL video application? I can't. You were like, I can't tell you more about myself without scaring you or something.
Probably.
wow, I didn't even remember that.
Wow.
Got fans.
Hell yeah. I remember. I rewatched that video many times, thinking, why the hell you got in there? I didn't.
Wow.
Because I'm a Warcraft 3 legend, man.
Kappa.
All right. Looks like I used the wrong folder to show up because everyone saw that I have clips for sale files. So, oops. That said, we're gonna move into the into the highlight reel. So let's change the scene right now. I'll pull this up. And we're back. I don't know if you guys got to see that. I posted the videos for you guys earlier. So we're going to start off with Huck, EG and Control. Did you watch your boy?
Damn.
Uh-oh.
What event?
At WCS, where he made it into round 8.
I watched him as much as I could. Unfortunately, that was going on when I was actually out of town.
Oh, okay. It was a pretty insane game. A lot of it showed that great control that Huck is known for. What else? What do you think, guys? You watch it, Destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I watched it.
Go
Oh,
on.
am I supposed to say what I think?
Great contribution, Steven.
Fawn Moore.
I think it's a little better when we let it organically
Yeah,
come out. I don't
yeah.
call anyone out. We just say, hey, this is the topic, and then
You're
someone's
right.
like,
You're
yeah,
absolutely right.
that pulls
Okay,
at me.
so game 1 was on game 1. Huck just killed him because he tried to do the that 3-hat shit, and Huck opened with his aggressive gameplay, right? But then
You can do
hold
it,
on,
Steven.
fuck. I'm mixing it all up now. Never mind. Someone else take this over. Let me refresh my mind.
Counter-Strike.
They met twice. I think Czech won the first series.
Check 1 game 1.
I think
No,
I think the
Huck
most
won game
impressive
1 and
was-
lost 1-2. The first
Yeah.
time.
Cannon Rush was lackluster on Overgrowth, and then he had his game on Merry-Go-Round was actually really impressive by Huck. It really looked like he didn't have enough to hold, and then he had perfect force shields and managed to hold check and then turn the game around. I think that
The
was
Cannon Rush was interesting
that
because
was the
it was an
highlight.
in-base forge and pylon, so it's as all-in as you get, but he was doing it because Czech was hatch firsting every single game.
Yeah.
And that was like a... Hatch first in of itself is okay and fine, and you have to be top-notch on your defense of the cannons, which is, by the way, tip of the hat to Czech, because he was doing exactly... It's like it requires a little bit more brain power than I think most Zergs know or give credit to it. You have to have 3 drones attacking a warping cannon to stop it before it either warps in or it's at such low health that if it finishes, it's like it's kind of a joke. Anything can
As it starts, yeah.
Yeah, as it starts.
As it starts, yes. It's not like just at any point in time. Thank you, Todd. If it's at the very end, 3 drones don't one-shot a cannon. I appreciate that. But he was doing a really good job of defending against that, and Huck went for a pylon and the cannons outside of the minerals, like on the other side of the minerals, as opposed to using the minerals behind it. And his thought process was if he could block in enough with the hatchery and the minerals and the cannons themselves, he would be able to get the cannon up. But that's a little bit more of a gamble than... we're talking a lot about a cannon rush, by the way, but ended up being all in, and then after that it was just ridiculous. Merry-Go-Round was sick. That game was ridiculously good. But to Huck's credit, he rallied back and did what everyone does all the time, and that is if they take second in a group, they lose to someone in the first match and then come back to beat that person in the final deciding match. I don't know why it always works out that way, but it did. By the way, speaking of buttholes, which we haven't just yet, how much did Huck clench when Czech actually went up 1-0 against that filthy Terran? Or it was like 1-1 or something like that. It was either 1-0 or 1-1. Because if that if Huck has to play, was it Polt that was the Terran, right?
I think so. I can remember.
Looking
Thank
it
you,
up right
Cats.
now.
Then Huck would have been dead as a doornail, in my opinion. But because he was able to face Czech, he had a really good chance to run it back, and then he did.
Wow.
This is a really lively conversation.
I think I watched.
It was Bomber. Was the
What
Terran.
was the series where like game 3 was on
It was Bomber.
Bomber. Thank you, Chad.
What series did they play where game 3 was like Sejong Station, game 2 was Merry-Go-Round? We're talking about the same series, right?
You tell us, Steven.
Huck check. Last one.
We still don't know what you're talking
Game
about.
1,
You just gotta
game
tell
1,
us the
game
same
1 was Overgrowth, game 2 was Merry-Go-Round, game 3 was Sejong, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, never mind. I just had to sort my mind out. I'm here now. What's up?
God damn it.
I'm awake.
Go and play
I've
some
been,
CSGO.
I've been sick. Listen, man, I'm so close to Gold
You're
Nova.
playing Counter-Strike.
I've been so close to Gold Nova, I'm gonna make it.
I don't play Counter-Strike. How can you tell you're close? Is it like ladder when you kind of get that feeling you're about to get
I've
promoted?
got that feeling when I'm seeing like Master Global Elites. Anyway, one thing that drove me. Fuck, someone else talk.
No, please continue. One thing that drove you what?
Talk for fucking shit. Some bullshit. Okay, yo. One thing that drives me crazy when I watch that series in the last game when Huck plays versus Czech. This happened like 15 fucking times in the fucking game. When you're playing against Blinding Cloud, if the Zerg Blinding Clouds your army, you don't just completely run away. You know that, right, Todd?
Yes,
Control?
you run just behind it, let them walk into it. It's the best.
Huck never ever did that. He would always just run away completely, or sometimes fight in it for whatever reason. If you want to make the Blinding Cloud shit like kind of work to your favor as Protoss, when the Zerg drops a Blinding Cloud in your army, especially if you have Blink Stalkers, you blink back, you let the Zerg come forward so that he has to fight in the Blinding Cloud, and then you fight him there. I don't know why there were so many different times that game where like I don't know if Huck just like never knew about that, but there were like a lot of fights I felt like they could have went like way better in Huck's favor if he would have used that Blinding Cloud better.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to see, like, when you're watching a game, like, the mistakes and stuff, but...
No,
Yeah,
it's not a matter... No, it's not a
you
matter...
wouldn't last 5 minutes against Hawk, man, come on.
I mean, even if that is true, it's completely fucking irrelevant. It's not a matter of whether or not it's easy to, like, pick it out. It's a matter of, I don't know if Huck understands that or not. Because I never saw him try to do it a single time. And people on any ladder do this against me. Like, it's a matter of, like, do you know that you can play against Blinding Cloud that way or not, right? It's not a matter of, like, it's difficult to tell that you can just back up and have the Zerg stand in the Blinding Cloud versus having to run away completely, right?
I think he plays on, like, all low graphics, so I don't know. Either he doesn't really see it well, or maybe he thinks that just because he used, like, a big set of force field, and there is no point in, like, pulling back, because then he won't have the force fields and Quadrant Shield to fight, which, I don't know.
it's all decisions in a second, so it's easier to look at in retrospect.
I've never seen, I didn't see those games, and in the past I've never seen Hawk, like, getting Blinding Cloud and just, like, standing there in it, like, not doing anything, so I don't really know what happens for you to be so upset, Steven, but I'm sure it's going to be okay.
Not necessarily like standing in and dying, but just the idea that like every time the Zerg drops a Blinding Cloud, they should never be able to like chase you through it. Because if the Zerg comes forward, all you do is you just stand back and you like that Blinding Cloud becomes like a dead man's land, like a no man's land or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Where nobody can step into it because you get fucked otherwise. That was like it was a really weird thing because I noticed that Huck had made that mistake like repeatedly over and over and over again.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, if you're Blinding Cloud without fungal, if you're Blinding Cloud without fungal, it's more of a defensive measure. It's kind of like
Unless you
Don't
have the
fuck with
Protoss like backed into a corner or something.
Yeah, or you can offensively do it where you actually Blinding Cloud like the back line and it pushes everything forward into your roaches and lings and shit like that. Or Ultras. That's when it's really good.
Sure.
All right, so
It's a great series. It's good performance by Huck, and Huck's been turning out some pretty good ones lately. By the way, it's nice to see him. Actually, as far as foreigner representation in WCS, like last season, it was a joke. It was a Chinese guy and then Major, and this season it looks like it's going to be Huck, not Major. Major got sick. That was too bad.
Huck, Scarlet Tigers.
There you go. More representation.
I feel like if this trend keeps up, we're probably going to see majority foreigners in the next WCS, huh?
That's a hell of an estimation, Steven. It's a really good one, bro.
Think so?
I can't tell if you're making a. So let me try to investigate this.
Okay. No, I saw
Are
the
you aware of the
announcement.
WCS?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
There you
All right, we are there.
Okay.
Just making sure. Yeah, this is the last season of this. It means a lot of these Koreans are gonna they're gonna have to move to
right
America.
into retirement. I heard apparently according to Reddit. Rip.
They're being thrown into the lion's pit that is Korea, but that's a different subject, I guess. This WCS was nice.
yeah, it was good. I'm looking forward to it. I was very happy for him, especially when you saw his face afterwards. That Huck. Thank you, God, kind of relief. But so not forcing that Huck believes in
That
God.
game
just
was scary
expression.
too, because it would have been anticlimactic because he just goes in there, snipes the hatch, it's game over, Czech's just dead. It lives on low health, and it's like, and it was funny in Huck's interview. He was like, "Oh no, I was always ahead. I wasn't really worried," and he was mostly correct. But actually, when he sacked basically his whole army to try to pick off the third, and then was down almost 100 supply with only 3 bases and his main mining out, he was actually way behind. Well, not way, but he was pretty far behind at that point in time, which would have been the most heartbreaking loss.
When the Storm
eight,
were pushing, I thought he was in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but then he ran it back and was able to win it, and it was really nice. And that look of relief that you're talking about was pretty cool to see. A lot of times, one of the saddest things for me is WCS is a really people don't talk about this, but you get paid a lot of freaking money to go from each stage in WCS. It's really cool. It's kind of life-changing, good money. The honor, the prestige of being one of the few foreigners is a really big deal. But a lot of times people advance through WCS and it's like, they go like, yes, and then they pack up their keyboard. They don't even shake hands. They're like rapping their chord. And the commentators are losing their shit, but it's weird because it looks like they're high on something because they're talking about a really boring scene otherwise. You know, Claire's like, "Hey, my golden moments is here. He's won the day." And, you know, just losing his shit. And faceless European number 6451 is just like kind of wrapping up his thing. He'll smile at the camera awkwardly and deathly, and then just get back to wrapping up his keyboard. And don't even get me started on the Koreans, which we already know. But
So
it was
how,
nice.
how could it be better?
How would you do it better?
Yeah.
Oh God, Todd, this is weird. Yeah, let me try to think about how I would teach a robot to show emotion. Basically,
Wow.
good things happen to you. A feeling comes over you, and there could be moments where you're exasperated. You sit back, you're smiling, you're happy. In the interview, you're like, I just worked so hard. I'm so fucking happy. A good example would be Grubby. Grubby in his defeat made it. Oh my God, he wasn't in studio, but he actually I don't know. For me personally, I follow him on Twitter and stuff like that. I could feel his mourning through the interweb. And it's awesome. It's awesome to feel that emotion in StarCraft. Because Koreans are so successful, and because a lot of the supporting cast of foreigners don't really show that much emotion when they win, StarCraft can sometimes become just kind of an online golf. And even golf shows more fucking emotion to give you an idea of where we're at right now.
Yeah, but WCS, that part was online. Like, how do you want them to show emotion online?
No, the Huck part. You're getting
Yeah.
confused.
Oh, okay.
Or did you actually
Yeah,
watch
Todd, can
that
you try to
WCS,
keep
Todd?
up? Can you try to keep up, Todd?
Todd, this is weird. Did you watch? Did you watch
No.
matches?
Aren't you like a caster for WCS?
No, I thought he was a caster for DreamHack.
Yeah, I can't cast everything and watch everything, man.
You're trying.
I,
That's goddamn sure.
yeah, I actually missed out on a lot of games from Case Backup as well that I need to catch up on. But yeah, actually, this is something that I feel is also not just the player's responsibility, because when I was 18 and all that, from the age of 18, I was a Warcraft 3 pro gamer and I was one of the best. And for the longest time, I was attending tournaments, and I remember going pretty far in a lot of them. And a lot of the time, people would come to me and be like, "Hey, you went very far," or even you won, and why didn't you show any emotions? And I remember thinking, fucking stupid people. Why do you ask me that? I was so focused going into this match, and even when the match ended, I'm still basically still in the game, sort of in my head. I'm still thinking of all that happened, all the mistakes, and I'm still sort of focused. So why do they ask me to show emotion? You don't really realize, and it's funny because we've seen so many Koreans actually learn the importance of that. MC was the first one, he realized it early. Result, most popular Korean player by far. Teja, there used to be a time he barely even smiled. Now, every single interview, every time he enters the stage, look at his face. Big white smile, you can actually see his white teeth. So
It's like
they are
Polt's-
learning.
It's like Polt's interviews. He's very energetic. I feel like he's being coached. I mean, that could be his personality, but I feel like he's just very much look, I have personality. I'm alive. Check it out.
So this is cool.
Stardust was his first DreamHack. Part of the big reasons he got kind of a following of sorts is because he stood on stage and wasn't afraid to call out names and be funny and animated. He had a personality.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we
he
have,
really
we have
does
a
have
cool
personality.
opportunity here with Todd here. Then, can you tell us then why, Todd, as someone with Asperger's, why don't you show more emotion when people ask for it?
Me?
He just
I
said
never-
why. You're not listening. He was talking about how
Why
When
couldn't
you just got done
Why
winning-
couldn't you be the MC?
Yeah, because
The
I can't
Europe
fucking
needs-
win games. Why do you think?
It's too
no. Look, let's make a real point of this. I like what Todd said because that argument's been made. One of my good friends is Idra talking about people who, when he won IEM China, he literally shook his head in disgust because he played Elfie and he thought Elfie was a horrible opponent. That's how off he was on emotional responses for how to do this. But you guys bring up a good argument. Tasia, Polt, some of these guys, they were those monsters that won and then smiled, gave a thumbs up, and were like, I don't fucking care. Next week I'm supposed to be on a plane to this other place to collect the check. And it didn't mean that much to him. But then people pulled him aside and said, look, you're amazing, you're not always going to be amazing. And one of the ways you can kind of carry your weight and fame and build towards something really cool is to be a human. And I know that sounds like I'm making fun of people, but what I'm trying to say is like when someone wins something or loses and you emotionally respond to that and you allow it to be shown, which is a weird thing to say because it's all being shown, our lives are, filmed basically. People they identify with that and they have compassion for that and it makes something out of it. So if you are a player out there and you're like, well, no, I don't show emotions because that's stupid. I'm just supposed to win. You're not wrong, but you would do better to also be excited about things and show emotions because it actually does translate to beneficial things for you. It's not just, even if we break away from that, it's also just kind of weird, by the way. Like, it is just a little bit weird. When Greg shook his head, I'm at home and I'm like, Greg's coming out of his slump. He won. Yes! And they put the camera on him. He's shaking his head. And I'm like, Greg, you fucking idiot! What the fuck? Like, and then guess how many times I am used that footage when they're like, showing like the hype reel. Is it Greg going like, God damn it, I played Elfie? No, that's cut out from history forever.
To some extent, what Todd said though is true. When you come out of a big game like that, like it's very hard. I mean, in my opinion, even in games that I feel good that I win on like a fucking ladder or whatever, like if you just finish like a really good game or a really good set or whatever, like it's really hard to like the second you finish it, you just go, oh god, yeah, I won, what? Because like your mind is still, I think it's still like very much so like in what you were just involved in.
Well, let's do this, okay? Let's get this joke out of the way. Destiny and iNcontroL don't know what it's like to win anyways.
Okay, so...
No, wait, no!
No, because I beat Ace
Steven, I actually have one. That's the joke.
I know. But
then I all of a sudden was able to show emotion because my mom sent me
thank you. And then that's
okay, that's cool. But I'm saying, like, even speaking from personal experience, when I beat Ace and Bomber in that fucking tournament at a time when fucking no one else jerked off in Festus like I did, right? Even when I won those matches, like, I didn't get up from the computer and I was like, oh, yeah, fuck, like, it was just like like you were still collecting yourself, like, after.
Festus don't require brain power anyways. Nobody gives a shit. There's like a Reddit post about it.
I agree with you, Todd.
Like,
Todd, protect me from iNcontroL, please. Todd!
No,
I'm really excited about it.
Todd!
I really think, one thing to keep in mind also is you don't really know when you're gonna be shown at tournaments. Like the only moment where clearly you know when you're gonna be shown is after winning a game or a series, and you don't even know which camera it's gonna be. Like in a studio, there is plenty of cameras. Like how do you know which one to look at and give the thumbs up to? That's why also it's very hard to be reactive to this kind of stuff. Yeah, you don't have to. You can show some
your ears, though. That's so nice. Red Bull's like you're a camera right now.
Exactly, and I think this is actually like something I've been working very hard on. Like it all started at WCS Europe. I was wondering why players were never being told when they're on camera. So being in the game lobby every single time, whether I was casting or not, because usually I'm either casting or doing analysis, so I'm observing myself. I started writing to them in game lobby, you're on camera. And then Daishi gave a wink, and then it all started from there. A lot of players started giving reactions. Sure. So now it's kind of become a thing. Like Red Bull does it, WCS America does it, IEM, DreamHack, they all did it. And now they let players know when they're on camera, so we can get reactions pre-game and even post-series. And I think that's really good to give the players this opportunity, because without this, I mean, when you're a programmer, and you know this is gonna sound, I don't know, funny or wrong maybe for you because you get the big picture, but when you're a programmer, your priority is winning. You're not really thinking about building up your image. And new guys here and most of the scene, like, you know that it's also very important to obviously to build up your image. But when you're a programmer and when you become programmer, the only thing you're gonna think about is winning. It's not about what ceremony you're gonna do when you win. So they don't really think of that. So giving them an opportunity here and there to basically tell them after you win or even before the game, we're gonna tell you you're on camera, then you can do something if you want to. I think it's really nice. And something else that I think would be good is to tell them beforehand exactly how it's gonna go down, which camera it's gonna be, and all that, so they can really like basically get it right down to the wire and make sure if they want to do something, it actually looks really good. Also, I think maybe I was thinking about doing this myself, like making a video of like explaining to either people or pro gamers or aspiring pro gamers what's important if you want to build up your image. Like, I'm not probably the best guy for this, but I'm sure I'd give a good explanation on how like you need to show emotions when you win and all that. It's very important. for Koreans. You know, there is a lot of tricks that you can tell people, like bring freaking soundproof headphones to tournament if you don't like to play with noise and all that. So pro gamers, there is a lot of stuff that they don't know that they take time to learn, and maybe if they were taught this kind of stuff at some point, they would do better with it. But right now, just only, I guess, the cleverest and the people that really want to build up their brand and image pay attention to that.
Or
Yeah.
people that are genuinely just excited and happy about winning.
Actually,
Yeah,
I don't think.
that's what makes this so. Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think you can say that somebody is not genuinely happy just because he didn't show emotion. Again, this goes back to the point that I made earlier.
Just people show emotion in different ways. Like what Jeff was saying about Idra before, for example, like that's him, you know, and that's I mean that's fine. That's what I would expect to see, and that's what I would be happy to see from him. But obviously, it's impossible to know how every player would react or what to expect from them.
Like you
Well,
before,
that's-
you played at MLG. Sorry, I'll
go ahead.
finish with this, Jeff. You before, for example, CatZ, you played at MLG on stage. Like, I don't know if you won, but if you did, or like surely you played on stage and won before. I didn't see you running naked on the stage. Like, well, what did you do? What do you
I
expect
likely
most people to
raised
do?
my arms and something like that. I don't know. Probably went like yes, because that's what my reaction would be.
Yeah, but most people that win matches, important matches, or advance from the group stage do that. But after winning like one group stage match, you can't expect everybody to be like
Right.
super happy. Some people
Yeah.
will be. All right, Jeff, it's your turn.
No, I think why I find this conversation so interesting is it's timeless with StarCraft and RTS. It attracts very cerebral people. The amount of time you have to spend with it means that on some level there's some anti-socialization going on. We know it's a well-known fact, and you can see it by even this show. This show pops up. Who's the personalities? Oh, the same 4 guys that have been on countless other shows or, you know, cast all the tournaments like Todd. Like, it's the same kind of people, and that's because we have some level of ability to talk on camera, which is kind of rare. But you can extrapolate that means that, you know, being emotive and expressing yourself is kind of a rarity amongst RTS players, specifically StarCraft 2. So I'm not saying, like, what my argument is and why I find it so intriguing to have over the time is because there's so many examples of people that are really fucking good at the game, and everything about them brought them to the stage where they're better than they're 100 times better than I'll ever be, and they're gonna grab huge checks. They're gonna be really, you know, they're interesting that way. And then there's the hardcore fans that watch them and are like, no, do not touch that porcelain doll. I want them to be exactly how they are. If when they win, they don't give any fucks and they just stand up and walk off stage, damn it, that's who they are. It's great. So if that's your mindset, I can't say anything to change that. But what I am arguing is you will notice there are other people that have that winning package as well, but also perhaps artificially, maybe it's really not how they express their emotions, but they show some emotion. And it can't be mitigated by like, well, they don't know where the camera is, so they don't show emotion. No, I'm not talking about you make eye contact with the audience and you like literally go like give them a thumbs up and go, I love people, and like that's their celebration. No, I'm just saying they fist pump whatever it is, they smile, they stand up, they talk about how excited they are, they talk about how much it means to them, that kind of stuff. But when we get all these interviews where it's like they just kind of stand up, then like the guy comes over and goes, you just won the whole tournament, how do you feel? He's like, really good, I worked really hard for it. I'm like, what? Yeah, you know, is this a big deal to you? He's like, no, not really. It's just qualifying for the next WCS. And then all of a sudden, you just dick punch the entire WCS system. Like everyone that's a fan that's waiting for you to explain how happy and how momentous this moment is for you, because it is for the fans living tangentially through you. You're just like, no, I don't really. You know, it's not. I mean, I'm going next weekend to Sweden for DreamHack. Like, that's cool, maybe. But the people that like actually have. Even you go back to like Firebat Hero, who fucking hula hooped on stage, and that lived throughout the era. You talk about the big grubby like emotional cry, and then wipe his face and shake the hand of his opponent. Like these are like moments that live through time and give legacy to the players because it shows that it matters and it means something. And even if that's not your true emotion, we have all these examples of people that have shown emotion after they win, and that's something that they might have been coached up on, and that in and of itself gave them a Twitter presence. It gave them like a personality that they could then build off for a casting career. It made them interesting. They're on shows, and that's all not winning, right? but it also made their journey through a tournament more important, which means they're getting more invites. It means that teams are more likely to sponsor them because they attract more attention. Everything about it is good for the most part. And that's the part I can't escape as far as an argument goes. Like, there's nobody out there, I think, well, no, that's not true. There's a ton of idiots out there, but there's very few people out there that are like, no, showing no emotion, if that's how you feel, is the better way to do things. That's the part that I can't get past.
And I can agree, because if you look at the Koreans, going back to that, if the ones that speak out, even if you're well before the semi-quarterfinals, you see them finish, they do an interview, the filler time, the ones who speak and use English immediately, Reddit thread, hey, congrats to so-and-so for using English, or thank you for using English, or thank you Translator X for having them open up and speak English, because they really, obviously we relate to it because we frickin' speak it, we understand it, but we get a little more from them through that language barrier. And then when you get that, you feel more connected to the player, and that's a lot more enjoyable than just, there's Kim or there's James telling us what they said. Though, granted, I want to say that James does a freaking awesome job making those interviews a lot more lively.
Next topic.
All right, next topic.
Todd just wrecked CatZ.
I'm afraid to open it.
Wrecked.
What happened?
Apparently it's something in chat. All right. So I guess that was Huck. That whole discussion was Huck. It's Huck's game.
That was one game, asshole. You want me to celebrate after one game? After I won one game?
Hey, you want emotions. You wanted people to go crazy.
There's the emotions. I went. I'm
That's
thinking about the next game. I'm still in the same series.
You know what, Todd? At that event though, you guys didn't say anything in the mics to let people, or in the headset to let people know that they were on camera. What the fuck?
No, we let them know beforehand that they're gonna be on camera after game one.
When?
I winked. They did.
You can't
see.
let somebody who just, like, it's not in their headset that we tell them, it's in game lobby. So after somebody just won or lost a match, you can't really message them because they might be on score screen. So we let them know beforehand. I don't know if we did it by then, because I know we did it for the last day for sure. This was day 2. So maybe we didn't let CatZ know, but I don't think he would have done anything anyway, because he's an emotionless robot.
You did the first. You did in the lobby. I winked at the camera, Todd.
You know what? I'm gonna link this to the chat, and they can decide.
Before the second game, you also let us know in the lobby, and I winked at the camera, I think, in the second game.
Alright, let's watch the VOD and see.
I'm not sure if you guys know this, but I'm an accomplished gamer, and I got slow bailing dropped on stage by Suppy once. And aside from that, yeah, they let you know in the lobby, man. I know this. I'm freaking Platinum League. I know they let you know.
What did you do? What did you do in the pregame when they showed you?
I looked at the camera angrily because I was too scared to do anything else.
Okay.
Wow. I didn't do shit when I was on stage, even when I beat a legendary pro gamer RSVP. I didn't celebrate at all when I won.
Exactly, so you see?
At least he didn't dick with you.
I agreed with you. Don't say you see. I agree with you, Todd.
Yeah, I'm talking to CatZ.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you see, even Stephen Bonnell, one of the most
We're pro gamers.
emotion-packed,
When we win games, we're imagining like
accomplished
walking.
pro gamer out there didn't do anything when he beat RSVP, somebody he was an underdog against.
It's because you want to walk off the stage in like a trench coat. Like, how many times did Neo wink at Agent Smith when he like beat him up or whatever? Never, right?
I think there's a huge difference as well between like a game in a tournament and something like a semifinals or a finals win. Like especially a finals, right? Like that's when you celebrate.
Well, even Huck making it out of his group to go into the round of 8. There's someone out there that can make the super elitist argument. It's like, that's an accomplishment for him, but for me, if anything less than winning a tournament's not. And it's like, okay, fine, but
no, yeah, but you're done for the day. I mean, you're done till next time. That's the relief. You don't have
big accomplishment. Even winning a game in a group for me would be a big accomplishment. So if I just stone faced and did nothing, and then the next guy donked on me, it's a waste opportunity. But when I took one fucking game off of Illusion and I was legitimately pumped because it was a huge comeback win, I emotionally responded, and people still refer to it as like goosebumps, and it was a cool moment in time.
What did you do?
It's cool. The game against Illusion on MLG stage where I came
but what did you do? I mean, emotionally. Like...
I fist pumped really fucking hard and screamed.
Okay, what did you scream?
What did I scream, Todd? Todd, you're like that weird voyeuristic uncle that's like, tell me about the clitoris on the woman's vagina. The labial is my favorite, but Ugh. I don't know. It was an emotional response, man.
Okay.
I didn't scream anything. I just screamed ah, but emotion, please.
I think you don't remember and you're too embarrassed to admit it.
No,
But it's okay, Jeff.
No.
It's okay.
I would not be embarrassed by something like that, Todd.
All right. Next topic. Let's go into the game. Bomber versus Hero.
Oh wow, that was guys. That was one game. That was Hug versus Czech. Uh-oh.
We don't have to go long through this one. Bomber versus Hero. Hero goes for DTs and then DT drops, and Bomber is on top of it. And I think Bomber showed that obviously the key thing is you don't get screwed by the DTs in the beginning. You're fine. They may have set themselves behind. It doesn't matter. You don't get wrecked. The DTs. I think he only lost maybe 4 or 5 SCVs total, and he had the turrets up. He defended the drops. He was all over the place, and after that, just walked right into the base and destroyed him. It was just very good play on Bomber, very on top of things.
Wait, walked right into his base and destroyed him? Bomber lost that game, didn't he?
No, Bomber won.
I thought the one DT that Hero had killed, did that go to game 4? Oh, I stopped watching RIP. I was so disgusted by the Protoss overcharge. I thought that the DT and the overcharge had killed everything. Fuck. That last attack by Bomber was so much closer than I thought it was. I thought when Bomber walked in, I thought he was going to kill everything. And then I saw the two DTs.
You were so disgusted by the overcharge that ended up not holding off the Marine Marauders that killed everything that you stopped
When
watching.
Bomber walked...
Call Evilo, guys.
God, do your bias know no bounds? You're like, I fucking used it again. What did you do?
No, Bomber walked into that base with a fucking huge army. I thought he was gonna shit on him. The Vikings were killing the Colossus, and then it seemed like after a couple minutes, the entire army of Bombermen whittled away, and then I saw the reports coming. I thought it was
that
gonna
was
lose.
later.
He just
Regulars
against
walked
the
in
DT.
Marines Marauders and just ignored the photon overcharge and killed all the probes in 2 centuries.
Jesus, you made me
The
think.
Vikings actually ignored the Colossus for 1 or 2 volleys as well during the engagement, I think.
Right.
I'm pulling it up right now so everyone can see it. I'm just getting a real quick screen cap. Yeah, it was a great game, and you had me for a second thinking that I had screwed up, Steve. That I was wrong about it.
My Protoss
Just
hatred knows
assume
no
it's Steven and then work backwards.
All right, so here's Bomber walking in.
That is one thing he will have over Bomber. Where do the Vikings go for you? Working against him here. Can't even get close to the Bioforce like he wants to. Bioforce can just hide in between here where the Zealots can't get to them. Great targeting here on those Colossi. And Bomber is just...
And it does look really close, because he does get those DTs out, and you're wondering, Bomber has, what, 3 bases? Is he going to be able to have enough scans for that? Because he loses almost all those Marauders. He's down 5 Marauders and a Marine right now.
Yeah, and all the Vikings and shit.
Yep, and the DT starts coming down on them.
Tell us the minute mark where you walked out of this thinking that the disgusting
I'll tell you exactly where it was. Hold on. I'm waiting. I'm watching on stream. It's gonna be a little bit delayed, but
I mean, I
it's
can
at the
see
point where
it.
the last of the Vikings start to die, and there's the DTs, and then the last few Marauders are starting to go down. Hold on.
And then bam,
Piss
GG.
off.
I mean, he did have that
I
wave.
didn't look at the supply either, which is my fault.
Yeah.
It was right. It was right before this. It was 12:54. I think is when I showed up. I was like, "There's no
Okay.
fucking way." And he fucking held that off with 2 fucking.
Found the keyhole moment in time
That he didn't even fucking cancel his upgrades. He still held it off. Photon overcharge. OP is fine. And I just left. But I'm
You were on a
sorry,
Skype call with a
Did you see the unit count on the top left?
No, I didn't look at the supply at all. I just saw this bullshit and was like, "Fuck this," and I rage quit. I felt for my Terran brothers.
That was a great game. All right, Zest v SOS. SOS. Cheesy SOS goes for the in-base proxy.
Hero won that series, by the way, 3-1. Important to point out.
Yes. But it was a great game.
Yeah, that proxy was sick. The balls on SOS to go for this, we knew him as that guy who can do that, in Katowice in the finals with the double proxy, but that was against a hero who he knew didn't really scout for proxies, whereas here, I'm really not sure what it was. Obviously, he was most likely counting on Zest not to scout it, but Zest scouted it, and then from there it's well, I guess you're just gonna lose because you've been spotted. But somehow, he splits his Zealots perfectly, and he keeps on waiting for a mistake, and then the mistake kind of happens, and a lot of probes are killed. But Zest starts reacting perfectly from there. He counters attack, and then equalizes the score in terms of probes. and then they actually go into a regular game. This was an insane game. Like anybody who hasn't seen it, like needs to see it. And I think it was really back and forth. Like at first, I thought for sure it's gonna be good for SOS. Then as soon as it was spotted, I'm like, good for Zest. Then SOS did the damage, good for him. And then Zest counterattacked and did a lot of damage, good for him. And then with the armies that they were making, I thought it was gonna be very difficult for Zest to lose it, and he didn't fuck up. So he just secured that game and moved on to the next round. Yeah, this was just a massive good game.
Similar game in the finals as well between us, Zest and Hero. Much quicker game, but pretty exciting as well with the double proxy gates.
So Todd and iNcontroL would know this. So I thought this was really weird. It seemed like SOS made two like really big fuck ups that game. One was when he just like completely abandoned his 2-gate proxy and like walked all of his zealots up to the top of the base and then went over. And then the other one was when it seemed like he pulled ahead after the so after his rush quote unquote failed, or I guess he didn't kill his opponent, he had the big worker lead, he got the cannons up. Why did he go for a Dark Templar rush after it? It seems like that was like the only build that he could do to lose the game, no? Maybe he didn't know he was ahead or what?
Because like, you don't need to commit to DT tech. Like you can just get the Dark Shrine and get like one of the Swiss.
But it's not about. But it is a big commitment. Like if he would have did any other like really big push without Dark Templar, it seems like he could have won. No, the DT commitment. If you don't do any damage with it, it seems like you're fucking yourself super hard. No.
You say that because you could see everything. Like you put yourself in SOS's shoes. Like he just did a build that didn't
Yeah, that's
work.
why. Well, that's why I prefaced the question with, "Do you think it's just because he thought he was behind?"
No, I don't think so. The situation he was in was he was held early on, and then he didn't have like a massive economy, but he was able like to take obviously like 2 gases quickly. And most of all, he had, I think it was 2 cannons in his main that really help and defend against any kind of scouts trying to get in there with the units that he had on top of that. So going for a DT rush, he's safe himself against DT. If Zest does any kind of build where he skips the robo for some time, like say for example he goes for blink first with the later robo or even the Stargate first, he could take a lot of damage. So against most builds, he's in good shape. Against any other build where there is a quick observer, he just tries to get in there with 1 DT. If there is observer, maybe he loses DT, and that's all there is to it. Later on he can DT drop, he can make Archon, he still has a lot of options, and he can expand himself most of all.
Yeah, and there's always that one behind that Dark Shrine thing, but I think that kind of play is actually equally, if not more powerful when you're actually ahead, because it's hard for your opponent to account for everything. Whereas a normal build, starting from ground zero, there's timings where, you should drop the robo to account for this sort of build.
I guess. I mean, maybe I'm just completely not. Maybe I just don't understand the matchup. Then it seems like he could have did any big all in besides DT, and the only thing that would have like stopped it, assuming he didn't have an observer, would have been DT. But if he does, if he does anything else, like the one build that he could do that could get blocked so fucking hard that it would be totally worthless, would be Dark Templar, and it seems like that's what he did. Like if he goes DT and it gets completely stopped, his whole like all of the momentum that he built is completely fucking gone, because now he's sitting on absolutely fucking useless tech, right? Because Dark Templar, when your opponent has observers, you're not doing shit with them. Like you're done. You're not gonna. You don't have Dark Templar as part of your army fighting. It's not like Blink Stalker where you can still harass with them, or like poking in out of the main. It's not like Robotech where you're building towards Colossus, or you're building Immortals, which are good all game long. It's just totally fucking useless. Like you made DT, they have an observer, you're fucked. You just like dead end teched yourself, and now you're behind in bases, you're down in workers, you're not building towards a tech that's viable in the late game. It just seemed, I don't know, the Dark Templar just seems like, unless you're behind, in which case it's like, well fuck, the only way I can win is with a gimmick, whereas if you're ahead, the only way I can lose is with a gimmick. That's how I saw it.
I don't disagree with you. You're not saying anything wrong. It's just DT tech and PvP, a lot of times, even when a Robo or a Stargate is either pre-established or scouted, people will still go Dark Templar because it's not like PvT where you have 4 or 5 observers out there. You generally speaking have 1, maybe 2. Some people go crazy and have like 3. And a lot of times if you can either Warp Prism in the DT, or if you can actually even just walk into the natural and the army's out on the map, there is a chance the DT gets into a undetected base. And left alone, at worst, it shuts down the mining because they pull the probes, but that's after 1, maybe 2 probes die. At best, it's like 6 or 7 probes. So that everything you said is true, but they're weighing this scenario that does happen pretty frequently, where they say, well, I picked off his observer because it got ahead of his stalkers. He's got 1 at home at his natural, but I dropped DTs in the main. Then that 1 goes into the main, and then I walk 1 into the natural. That's like 12 probes dead. And that's like all it takes to win a PvP too, because you don't have 75, 80 probes. You have like 40, 45, maybe going on to your third base. So if you kill 10 probes, you're literally chopping down 25%, up to 25, around there, of their entire economy. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, when you go DT like this and you get shut down, then at first they're not gonna do much, but later on as the game progresses, like into a 2-base or 3-base situation, they become very useful again, because if you get dropped by a warp prism and the opponent's trying to warp in some zealots just because like you're out of position or he wants to do some damage with like a timed attack at your natural at the same time, you warp in DTs defensively. They're like one of the best defensive tool of Protoss. With the one-click defense photon overcharge. I don't know if you've ever watched.
I don't know if we watched the same game. You think he would trade getting DTs at that point and delaying his natural so much?
No, it's a calculated risk.
No, probably
Absolutely
not.
Calculated risk.
But yeah,
Okay.
you cannot know what you're gonna run into, and also, like I don't know if you've ever watched a minigun stream, but like 3-base versus 3-base, he always gets a warp prism and try to do a DT drop. Why? Because just like iNcontroL said, you usually have only one observer, maybe two. They're not in your main. In your main, you have like one cannon in your middle line. So he drops the DTs in the middle line, snipes the cannon, warps in more DTs. Your Nexus is gone instantly. You lose a forge here and there. And what can you do? I mean, you can remake that and be behind economically and in tech and in upgrades, or you can attack into him and he's going to set up a concave and crush you. So he forces you to attack into him by putting you behind with those DT drops. So in a game like this on Foxtrot, I agree that it's maybe not the best decision. And, it was a little bit of a gamble, but if you think about it, this is no different than just trying to open DT in a regular game against somebody whom you know or you don't know, in this case, what it's going to open with. Because the game was kind of reset in terms of walkers. They both killed each other's walkers and then they were fairly even. I thought Zest was maybe a little bit ahead, so I don't disagree with the DT.
It's weird though. It's funny because I can see, Steven, your vehemence on how wrong and weird it looks, because I'm not far off from your opinion. There's a lot of Korean Protosses in particular I find that go Dark Templar, like after scouting Robo, they open Stargate, like everything detection is there, and they're still like at 1.5 base, like they're at 10 probes of their natural, so it's really early on, and they're just like, fuck it, throw a Dark Shrine in there too, and I'm like, that on the NA mid GM ladder, I've got kids laughing at me because they've got 3 observers. Like, it doesn't make sense, but they work at a different meta where it's like, because it doesn't make sense, because it would be bad to do it this time, that's when it works. Like, it gets dirty in PvP. A lot of times you do shit because it shouldn't work. Like proxying 2 games in a row. It shouldn't work the second time, right? You'd be an idiot. At least he's probe scouting, but then all of a sudden, Hero's not probe scouting, and lo and behold, the frickin' proxy gate works again.
Yeah, alright. If you say so. You're the Protosses.
All right, reading Twitch
You
chat.
played Protoss for some time too. You can have an opinion. We're just not going to pay too much attention to it, Steven.
Maybe I just misread it, but I thought that SOS had a significant worker lead after he held that off. I thought it was like 16-10 or something. I thought it was like pretty significant. But maybe
SOS was the one who proxied, you realize that. And at first,
yeah,
he
that's
had
what I
killed
said.
a lot of walkers somehow. Yeah, but then Zest counter-attacked, and even though there was cannons, he got in there and killed even more probes. So he got ahead from there, because he traded his zealots for probes. Because Zest had to make sure...
Yeah, even when SOS held it off with his cannons, Zest is sitting on 12 probes, and SOS is sitting on 16 probes. That's pretty
Sure, I
significant.
thought Zest was in a good position from there. I thought he had more.
Unless, yeah, no. Well, hold on. Never mind. No, yeah. Yeah, Zest...
Are you watching the vlog right now?
Should have been in a pretty good spot.
Okay.
All right.
Are you watching the VOD?
Next topic.
All right.
Anyway,
So
one thing. This kind of pertains to this, and it's going to pertain to everything we also talk about. Oh my fucking god! And trying to watch these games, why you never see the fucking health bars when you're talking about like killing workers, especially in that Flash. Are we talking about the Flash thing next? It's super relevant there too. I hate not seeing the fucking health bars. It drives me so crazy. I thought that they did that. They hold alt or whatever, right?
Avilo does.
Only Avilo does.
You want to talk about the production of the Kiss
Why
backup?
why don't they ever show fucking health bars? Is there like a reason for this? What the fuck?
in
That's it.
control.
I got nothing.
I'm just complaining. My bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Hey,
More
that
exciting that way.
I do actually, talking about production, I have a question, Todd. This kind of goes back. We're going to talk about DreamHack in a little bit, but I have a question. Last day, there was no audience sound. Was there a reason for that?
That was a mistake.
Okay. I didn't know if they had...
I don't know if you know, but we were actually casting from the studio in Stockholm. We weren't in Moscow. So we were like kind of disconnected from Moscow, and I think I didn't really get into the details because I'm just like a caster / analysis guy, but it just seemed very difficult to get anything done and going with like the link between Sweden to Moscow. So like even with Mix, like we had a delay every time we actually threw to her. So it was a little bit weird for us. Like I never had this kind of setup before to do a broadcast, but I don't know. I think we handled it pretty well. There is probably a chance it could have been done better, obviously, to try and get some sound from the audience. But yeah, I think if you haven't done an event before with in Russia with like everything that goes into it, then it's very hard to judge and see what could have been done better. But yeah, I think like what I just explained kind of gives you an insight on why it wasn't there.
Yeah, it's funny because it's one of the funniest moments. Well, I say funny, but that's like how I hide my tears in the rain. Basically, I can't remember which DreamHack I hosted. It was a couple years ago, and they didn't mic the audience at all. So I was hosting and I was mic'd, so I'm projecting onto the stream, great, and I'm like, hey, what's up, everybody? Such and such joke, and in person, the Swedish audience is awesome. They're laughing and they're clapping, and then on stream they're like, Jesus Christ, this is awkward. Nobody's saying a goddamn word. I'd be like, how about those apples? And everyone's like laughing or whatever. But on stream, it's just like crickets, just dead silence. And I remember going on Twitter like, oh man, I killed it. Let's see what people said. And they're like, iNcontroL, I'm here for you, man. Like, that wasn't that bad of a joke. Like, I'm sorry they're being so rude. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, miking the audience is so important for the immersion experience for people online, but also for the talents. Like, you guys would say a joke, you'd be like, he's got I don't know, can he do it? Probably not, because he eats apples, or some stupid joke, and then the audience would just be like, dead silence. You know,
well,
it ruins it.
Actually, in the Russian audience and on location, they didn't have our sound. They didn't have the English cast. They had another Russian cast. That's how complicated and crazy it is. So, I mean, we still could have gotten the sound from the audience when they are clapping when something's happening, but I don't know. I guess it must have been too difficult because they didn't make it happen.
Yeah, it was tough. It's tough.
I mean, it's still good.
There's also latency of like you guys are in Sweden, they're in Russia, so getting that to be instantaneous is difficult. Like, they had their production troubles.
It was still great production overall. I mean, it's DreamHack. It was just I had no idea you guys were transmitting from Stockholm and going back and forth with there, so didn't know that. Now we know that. You can move on to the last game we're going to cover, and that is my favorite. Like in the preview, I don't know if you saw, it was just titled Flash. That's it, because it's just Flash. It's Flash versus Stardust, Game 1. Stardust goes proxy 2-gate, and Flash just, he holds. And it was absolutely incredible. It's a build that, you don't scout it, you're done for. He didn't get a bunker up. He didn't. The bunker was killed beforehand, and he still managed my favorite part, I think, of the entire thing was the dance around the stalker. He didn't.
That was a terrible game.
Yeah?
What?
Because it didn't work?
He should never have lost that. Like, getting surrounded on that stalker was like the only thing.
It was a big fuck up.
My Terran heart exploded when I saw that. It was beautiful.
I bet it did, and I hope you realize that it's never gonna happen again, or to you in ladder when you get proxied, you're just gonna die. So
Flash hasn't retired yet.
Flash was fishing for a mistake, and Stardust made one. So
made like 2 of them. I think there were two times where stalkers just got blatantly fucking caught. It's like, what? He clearly wasn't watching at all.
Yeah,
no, actually he was watching
from Flash. Though I mean, he played it.
He
as
was
well
watching, but he was trying to do moving shots with the stalker rather than just run away from the SCVs. So the second time he did a moving shot and shot at the Marine, the stalker stopped moving for a second, and that's when it got surrounded. And I mean, when you do this kind of build, you get surrounded once, you basically toast, and you lost. So that's what happened here.
Speaking of beating dead horses, this is one of those games where I wonder how differently this would have played out on lane latency. Wow, that lane argument. Seeing the watching the I don't know watching the SCVs try to surround the stalker and seeing the stalker move to the side, and then knowing that there's always going to be that delay. I don't know. I wonder if because Flash played so much Brood War, I wonder if that's something that.
You realize they play in South Korea. The server is in South Korea, and they only have optical fiber. That's their slowest internet there, right?
Really?
So what the fuck are you talking about? They have like zero.
Fucking wrecked.
You went to Korea before.
First of all, whoa, the StarCraft 2 client itself has a built-in forced latency, so it doesn't matter if you've got Jesus Christ's fucking fiber going right to fucking heaven with
He
the
does
best.
have good internet.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good your internet is. There's a forced minimum latency on Battle.net. It doesn't matter your connection or whatever. So even if the server is literally up your fucking ass and you're connected via belly button to the fucking thing on your
Would
computer,
it be better that way though?
latency. I'm not entirely sure. It depends on the sexual preference of the person playing the game. But regardless, fuck you. There was no fucking wreck there. If you don't know how the fucking client works, suck my dick, Todd.
Yeah, so that's an impossible thing to argue. I mean, we haven't played without that, so
I don't know. I played in Korea and I thought it was zero ping. So I know Destiny is not very good at StarCraft 2, but he played in Korea as well. I thought you would have noticed.
Yeah.
Kappa.
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 Kappa. Anyway, sick games from Flash. Or game from Flash. I guess it was Flash. You asked Todd. My bad.
Yeah, he won that series 3-2. And actually, Stardust was pretty not confident going into it, as far as I could tell. Like, I played him on the ladder, and he was just starting to play maybe like 4 or 5 days before the match. He had been taking a break. And he was like, yeah, like I was taking a break, but then Kespa gave me fucking Flash, so now I'm playing again.
Cool story,
Yeah.
bro.
Nice perspective.
Excellent conversation. All right. We're going to go take another break. We'll be right back. We're going to get into Red Bull Battlegrounds coming up. We're going to talk about WCS and get a little bit of rehash on the DreamHack. So we'll be right back.
Do you know who they are? Do you have a graphic maybe to show it?
I'm pulling it up right now, getting it on a screen, showing them Red Bull Battlegrounds players.
Yes, alright. 3 Protoss, Parting, SOS, Trap, 3 Terrans, Bomber, Cure, Port, 2 Zergs, Scarlet, Don Gregu, all qualified through different events. It's gonna be fucking amazing and sick, and if you don't tune in, you're an imbecile, basically.
Imbecile.
I'm super hyped for this event, man. I've been waiting for it for a long time, and as soon as I knew there was Protoss playing, I basically wanted to either watch at home with a box of tissues or cast it, and it's gonna be the latter in this case, and it's gonna be nice.
So you're going to be there for the cast this?
Yes.
Awesome. So
Supposedly.
do you know by any chance when they're going to release the groups?
Sadly, I don't know. I think this is definitely one of the things that could have been done better, even like in the previous Red Bull events, like in terms of communication, it's not been the best. So I don't know. I'm hoping at least quite a few days before the tournament, so that the players can make sure like they start practicing depending on who they are playing and all that. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
ask now and hope to get an update before the show ends.
so looking at the bracket, a lot of people, Scarlet, Foreign Hope, someone we want to see. Who do you think she has to not meet to be able to make it down to the lower brackets, I guess?
Is she favored against any of these players?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually.
I wouldn't say she's unfavored against many of these players. I mean,
Against the
CVT
Ken,
has
what do
always
you
been
think?
her. Yeah, I think CVT is probably her strongest match, and she can probably beat all of them. Cure is probably the scariest out of the 3, in my opinion.
Even
Anyway.
in TVZ?
And then Protoss has always been her weakest, but PVC is not a strength of partying either. So I think she would have to watch out for Trap and SOS mostly.
And against Don Gregu, how do you think she would do?
That's hard to say because Don Regu is. I think Don Regu is on an upswing right now. And when he performs, he really performs. But that's hard. That's hard to say, man. I don't know. CVCs can be kind of weird as well. And I know that Don Regu has always had a lot of respect for Scarlet. Even in the old days, you know, IPL and Muta versus Muta stuff. I remember Don Regu telling Linok before a match, just don't play like standard against her because you can't you can't beat her if you just play the same style. So that might come into play as well. I think Don Regu has a lot of respect for Scarlet, and that might give her a bit of an edge.
Well, what did you say? Parting is not super strong against Zerg. So you think Scarlet is favored against Parting?
Not necessarily favored, but yeah, I mean, if Parting's one of the scarier Protosses in the world, it's not as much against Zerg, I think.
Okay. Yeah, for me, like, it's really gonna come down to who's in shape on like the days of the tournament. Because Cure, like, he's super sick, but you know, like, his matches were online. He didn't play any of them offline, so it's hard to say if he's gonna play as well. And also, like, from one week to another, when you're a programmer, you're not necessarily gonna be playing at the same level. Same thing for Trap. You know, Trap qualified through winning MLG. That was a long time ago. You know, we haven't seen all that much out of him since then, which is not always a good indicator that he might be in a very good shape. I'm sure he's practicing a bunch for this, so lots of question marks in terms of who's gonna show up and in what shape. And that makes it very interesting also as far as like style and build orders go. Like, obviously this is a massive tournament, 50K prize pool, like only 8 players. This is like basically the dream tournament for any programmer. You just need to win a few matches and you win a ton of money. So how much do they practice and what do they come up with is what we're gonna get to see, and that's what makes me super excited for it.
Yeah,
Steven?
taking that into account. Go on,
Yes?
Steven.
Yeah,
I was gonna
agree.
ask Steven to weigh in. Come on, motherfucker.
I mean, from the names that I recognize, I mean, you already said it. I think Kira is like the only one that I guess maybe Scarlet could beat. I haven't seen any of his recent games though. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't see it. What?
I think Cure's like the strongest, maybe.
Oh,
in my
okay.
opinion.
I mean, in offline performance.
Well, just in general right now.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't say. Rip. I don't see Scarlet easily beating anyone here. I don't see any. I don't know if there are any players that you'd say like, oh yeah, Scarlet's favored in that matchup against anyone on this list.
Didn't Scarlett take out Polt pretty easily for the when she won her qualification Red Bull?
I guess maybe. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe if Polt plays like a retard, sometimes he does that and he gets raped by certain people. I know Major raped him like 2 tournaments in a row. So maybe Polt would be like the one if Scarlet gets a read on his style and he doesn't change his shit up. But I don't know. Polt seems to go like back and forth between whether or not he's like actually thinking or if he's just like doing the same shit as always and then he gets hard counter and he just gets fucked in the series. So I mean.
All right, what about Dong Regu? He's an older player. I'm curious to see what you think about it, CatZ, and his chances of going through with this group.
Wow, CatZ, good input.
CatZ, you catch that?
I'm sorry, I was trying to set up the thing.
Yeah.
Somebody's driving a
I think
motorbike where you live, by the way, CatZ or something?
No,
Keep
they're
hearing
working
some-
outside. I'm trying to shut them up.
Okay.
Isn't that your job?
Steven, shut up.
All right.
Steven, go
I'm
on.
just sick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
DRG, CatZ, what do you think?
Again, I mean, he's in the round of 8 now of GSL, right? So he's in a bit of an upswing, and he beat Flash as well in his group stages. So his CVT is very strong. Plus, he has to face innovations pretty soon. So I think he's going to be practicing a lot of CVT, and I think that Cure and Polt may be the strongest players here. Maybe SOS and Parting a little bit, but again, Parting not the greatest in PvC. Where SOS could be a little bit dangerous. So I think Don Regu's chances are pretty good as well.
Okay. I think that what about SOS against DRG? I mean, I'm sorry, not SOS, Parting. I feel like his TV or his PVZ is pretty strong, but
I feel otherwise. I don't know. I practice a lot with Parting, and he complains a lot about Zerg. So I think it might be his weakest matchup, where PVT is the strongest.
okay.
Interesting. Parting actually, like we
we haven't seen all that many games out of him these days. I feel like compared to like when Pro League is fully on, and you got like matches every week and you get to see a lot of their games, even though it's best of one most of the time. So much like everybody else, except maybe Pult. Pult is probably the guy, I guess, with Bomber in that group that we see the most of. Like recently, there is some of those players like SOS that played some tournaments, so we got to see a few more of their games, like Don Grego too. But like Scarlett, massive question mark on how well she's gonna play at these tournaments. And other than that, I think in terms of production, Red Bull has impressed me so much since I started working with them. Back to Atlanta, I think it was amazing what they did, especially with the pre-game interviews. That like those are off the hook. Like nobody else does anything even close to that. In Detroit, it got even better. And I think Washington's gonna be sick.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Red went the best production out of anyone, like easily, I think.
And if you get a chance to go to one of these things and you talk to their crew, they do have one of the best crews that I've ever, I guess, had the pleasure of meeting. The guys, I don't know if they all play StarCraft, but I talked to some of the directors in the back, and the excitement they get for this tournament is just incredible. And a couple of them I have talked to, Hogan there. I don't know if you've met Hogan, Todd.
Yes,
he's an awesome guy, and I know
he's
he
the
plays. Man. He is. And even when I was doing the late game, you guys, there's a lot of production things that I didn't get to put into play tonight, but there's a lot of it I had a chance to discuss with him, and he helped me hash out what goes on there. So next week, when things look a little better, Hogan definitely put a touch on that. And the crew at Red Bull, awesome. I even got this bitchin' bag just because they didn't give it to me or anything. I just bought it offline. But this is their signature series from OGO. And one thing that I don't get though is it has these two pouches that you're supposed to put cans of Red Bull in. But I don't get why you would put a can of Red Bull in there, because it's not cooler. It's not a cooler material. It's gonna get warm. That's my own complaint about it. But anyway.
Okay, well, what backpack has a cooler, man? Come on.
I know, but what backpack do you carry around a can of soda with?
The one we're gonna make and get rich off of.
Wait, really? You guys didn't have those when you're going to like high school, college? You get like the coolest fuck backpack with like the insulated like thing for like a drink or whatever? Was I the only cool kid?
That sounds cool as fuck.
Backpacks with the boombox.
No, what?
The speakers in the backpack.
You never seen the backpacks with the speakers?
I was never that cool, I guess. No, I never saw those.
All right, moving on.
But no one. Yeah, I don't know. This tournament's pretty stacked. Bomber is a beast at TVP as well, so he could make it far depending on his bracket, I think. And yeah, SOS, Kira, and non-regular are my favorites, though, to make it far.
What about you, Steve? Who do you think's gonna get up there?
I'm gonna go with Kier, since I think he's one of the strongest here. Oh, you got rid of the list. I don't even know who the other players were. Don Rego could make it pretty far as well. And Trap, because he won an MLG pretty recently, I think. Todd, what about you?
For me, Cure, at least in TVT, like he's not really supposed to lose to anybody. His TVT is so sick. Like I know Bomber has a sick TVT, but watching Cure playing the qualifier that he won, just demolishing people left and right. Like he made Yoda look like a scrub. So I really feel like if somebody's gonna beat Cure, it's probably gonna be one of the Protosses. Maybe, I don't know, like the Zergs, I'm really torn about it. I feel like it's 50-50 for him against them. So Q could do well, but it depends on matchups, like who he gets, and obviously the shape on the day. But honestly, like, can you look at the 8 names and pick out like 1 or 2 players? Because I really can't. Other than what I just said for Q, like, I really feel like any of these players could win, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Definitely, it's gonna.
Yeah, I would say Trap would be the biggest upset if he managed to win. Yeah.
Come on, Trap was so sick at MLG.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago, though.
Man, Trap beat Pult. He beat Pult in the finals of MLG, and then I went over to Pult and was like, cheer up, man, and there is always next tournaments. And he looked at me and he said, I hope David Kim was watching. That's so hopeless. He made Pult. Can you imagine?
Cheerful Pult? Yeah, that's pretty.
And I guess David Kim was watching because Terran got buffed later on, but anyway.
All right, I'm kind of in the same boat as you are, but I think Cure as well. I definitely think we're going to see a Terran in the final. I don't think there's any question about that. And it really is hard to look at all 8 and say who's going to make it, because it really does depend in the long run who they get matched up against. So maybe closer to we'll have a better idea of who is going to make it through. So real quick, before we go on to WCS and run through that, Todd, you were at DreamHack, or you were casting DreamHack. Anything stick out to you? Any kind of matches that really just resonated as far as the game? Maybe Protoss matchups.
At DreamHack?
Yep.
Okay, first, sorry, but I just got an update about when the matches will be announced for Battlegrounds Washington. It's either going to be tomorrow or Wednesday.
Okay. Cool.
Actually, tomorrow is Wednesday for me. Well, I guess we're past midnight. Okay, yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday. I guess American time, because it's my American friend who told me about it. So look forward to that. Well, yeah, talking about DreamHack, there was a lot of good moments for me, like the main highlights of this tournament. And, I didn't say that on live because, now we are talking exclusively games. Like one of the highlights of the tournament in terms of non-games, obviously, was working with all these guys and having this much fun. But in terms of just purely game and performance speaking, is the 3 guys who came into the tournament having to score the most points, all going very far and making the same ice. I think that's an amazing story, and all of them score so many points. That's MMA, Snoot, and Jack G. And in the end, they basically 3 of them made top 4, and they climbed a lot in the WCS World rankings, and I think there is a good chance we're going to see all of them at BlizzCon. So all of their games, like MMA against Patience played fantastic. Snoot just demolished Daisy, like we already knew what Daisy was going to do. Snoot just made Hydralisk and stomped him. Jack G went up against a True who hadn't lost a single map yet. And this, I think it might have been, I'm going to use the R word, much like Steven, I'm sorry. He raped him super hard. It wasn't even fun.
I don't know, man. True kind of threw game 1 away. I mean, it was 100% win for True that game. It was really bad. It was awful to watch, to be honest. He was at 200 supply against 150 and 5 base or some shit, and he managed to throw that away by attacking into siege tanks, not even spread out properly. And yeah, and then he traded his entire army for a 4th when he was still ahead. I don't know. That game 1. Well, his decision making was just awful. I wouldn't say he got raped, more like he defeated himself, at least in game 1.
Okay, that sounds fair. But in the other game, though, he was mining gas, then not mining gas, then mining gas. He just
I don't know. Defeating himself.
Yeah, thrown off his game. You're so happy when you make a comment like that, aren't you? You didn't even watch the games, you asshole.
I feel like I'm back in English class when you don't know anything about what they're talking about, but then you hear enough people say things, and then you raise your hand, and you kind of fill in with what other people said in your own words.
That's been the last 2 hours for me.
Did you even watch? Did you even watch any of DreamHack, Steven?
No, I got the list of games that I needed to watch. That's what I watched. Okay, DreamHack wasn't on the list, so why don't you call me your shit?
All right, before we move off DreamHack, I do want to talk one thing. TVT, we had a TVT final. TVT has been a complete bloodbath. That's been the matchup. 10 minutes, what the hell is going to happen? Who's going to get themselves put behind? And I thought it was a very exciting series, even though it did seem MMA just was walking on Jakshi the majority of that time. MMA was even making mistakes, and Jakshi wasn't fully capitalizing on them. I think we really were able to see, the slightest mistake does make it harder for you. What are your guys' thoughts on TVT at the moment?
I think I covered it pretty well when I talked about it on the panel there. Terran right now feels super, super strong, especially with the Medivac boost. And it's taken Terrans a long time to finally start using it to the best of its capability. So when you watch a TVT right now, it feels like Superman is fighting a Superman, because just those Medivacs, they boost in there, and unless you somehow get lucky and see them coming, you're almost never going to be completely ready for it. And since you don't know where they're going to come from too, does it really rely on skill, especially in the first few minutes in terms of openers where you don't have any information? That's why it's become such a volatile matchup rather than a matchup where you have standard openers that can't really kill anybody, and then you always go into either mech versus bio, sometimes marine tanks. and a regular game with like a lot of positional play. Right now, it's a lot about those medevacs, I feel, and Terrans have admitted that themselves as well.
I think that the Banshee build that we saw with Bunny and Tasia, for instance, this is back at IEM, that is really refreshing because a lot of people open up Banshee. So you get the Raven first, you have a handful of Marines, and you have a Raven that's going to do number against the Banshee that comes along, because the Raven's out first, it's out imperfectly in time, and if your opponent is expecting it, it's really easy for them to fly that into your Marines and lose it quickly. But then the follow-up with that 2-tank Raven drop, you have the auto turrets to tank for your tanks. If you don't siege up right away, you can get yourself in the perfect position, as Tasia showed us in that matchup, because that's really why Bunny lost in that first game, is because Bunny sieged right away, and his tanks were immediately surrounded by SCVs before they finished sieging. And so I think that is definitely a fresh build, and it kind of changes that dynamic of how it opens, because I feel it's the safest opener to whatever your opponent's going to throw at you.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. We saw Major do a lot of things like that, and not just that. Whether it's on King Sejong Station or on Overgrowth, you can go around the natural of your opponent and snipe his gases, shoot the SCVs on the middle line. So that I always think it's interesting when somebody does that, to see also how the opponent's going to counter. And it feels like whoever does that, like, it seems like a very strong build. You will almost never see somebody do that build and get completely shut down. So I agree with you. Like right now, these seem like a very, very strong thing to do, but it doesn't change the fact that openers before that on one base, there are a lot of them. They kind of all counter each other, and you don't know where the medivacs are going to come in. Some of those games, like, I can't remember who it was exactly, but I remember this one guy who was going to go for a drop, and then kind of like got scared at the last second when he was going to do an I think it was Happy versus Jack G. So instead of just dropping in the main where the Banshee was missing, because the Banshee was headed for his main, he just waited down the ramp, got scared from just one bunker, and then the Banshee of Jack G just flew into his main and just wrecked his economy completely in terms of SCVs, killed some Marines and all that, and just put him so far behind. So the lack of information and the way builds counter each other that we used to talk a lot about and that we always saw in PvP has kind of come over to TVT right now, I feel.
Yeah, I think, with that match in particular, because I believe this is when he had the couple of Huns at the bottom, right? And he had the bunker at the top of his ramp. I thought he could have elevated into the other side, taken out SCVs and gone for a trade at some point, pumped out a Viking, and then forced those Marines to come back, because he still had that Raven, he still had those auto turrets.
Steven, anything you want to say?
I don't know shit about this fucking matchup, dog. What the fuck do you want me to contribute?
Same.
I told you we should have got
Tell
a
me.
Villo here. We should have got a Villo here. He would have all sorts of shit to
My
say
mana
right
Villo.
now.
All right.
Invite him if you want.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to get that asshole.
Just invite him, bro.
I don't have him on Skype. I was joking when I said that. What the fuck?
All right, I'm going to pull up the WCS standings for right now.
This is like the Lycan monologue time. This is your territory, right?
Once upon a time, there was a dude who didn't know what he was doing with XSplit, and he was grabbing groups, and they were on the screen, and he was done talking.
Should be using OBS, man. That's your problem.
I was using OBS, and then someone's all like, "Oh, XSplit's the new shit."
The new shit. What?
I was using OBS. It was new for me.
Oh.
Cool. All right, delete. All right. Anyway, WCS. We're going to.
Europe, I guess.
Yep.
Just on
WCS
screen.
Europe. All right. So, Group A. Anything stick out to you, Todd?
The Fnatic boys. I mean, the fact that already it's a 4 European group makes me pretty happy, because 2 of them are going to advance, obviously. And this group reminds me of the group that we saw at DreamHack, where there was, who was it? I think it was like Bly. I can't remember exactly, but it was like 4 Bly, Wellmu, and yeah, all these guys, like 4 Europeans, and it's made it for a very interesting group, like close games and all that. And I think it's going to be similar here. We have Harstem, who prepares super well for WCS. Like, you know, there is a group on Skype where a lot of pros can search for custom games. Like, Harstem has always been one of the most active guys there. So even though he's not actually searching publicly right now in the group, I'm sure like he's searching by messaging all the Terrans there and playing a ton of custom games with Terran. He played some fantastic game in round 32 against Terran. So I'm really going to look forward to his first match in particular against Bunny, who basically is a beast against Protoss, always has been. These days, or at least for some time, didn't focus nearly as much in the matchup, but still is amazing. Like, he destroyed Stardust at Gfinity when they played in the group stage. And then you have Mini Razor, a guy who nobody expected was going to top his group and then just demolished people left and right, who's going to go up against Happy, who was, I think, he was the top performing foreigner actually at DreamHack with Snoot, and he has a pretty good TVZ. So that Group A for me may very well be the most interesting out of all of them, and yeah, it's gonna be good.
Moving into group.
Yeah, that's definitely the one I'm looking forward the most. Yeah, Harstem beat Jachi in the previous group. Mini Racer beat Snoot and Stardust.
Two seasons in a row, actually,
not
he
much.
beat Terrans. Harstem.
Yeah.
The season before that, actually, I think he might have been Jack G and Bunny too. The season before that, yeah, he beat Bunny. So it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, both Harstem and Mini Racer are pretty close friends, and Harstem's really confident in his matchup against Bunny. So yeah, I think this group is really, really interesting, and really could go either way. I think anyone could take it. Bunny perhaps the favorite to advance, either first or second, but yeah, I think it could go anyway.
Steve?
Sure.
All right. Let's move
I don't know
into
anything
Group
about
B.
these guys, dog.
Let's go to Group B. Got anything on them, Steve? TLO, Vortex, San, Yoda?
TLO, that's the name I recognize.
You're such
Strong
a piece
German
of shit,
player.
Steven. Come on. Close whatever the fuck you're doing.
I watch the games.
You
I don't
fucking
know who
disgrace.
plays well enough to give an opinion. Do you want me to just make shit up? Well, TLO is very unorthodox play, and Vortex is the brother of that Luciferon guy who doesn't play anymore. San kind of sounds like Sen, but this guy plays Protoss, and Yoda's got a retarded as fuck name, and he plays Terran, so probably going to be TLO and Vortex coming out of this group, I would say. That's my Group B prediction.
Watch that shit be right, too.
I mean,
What about you,
San's on
CatZ?
fire. Vortex. San's on fire right now. He's been playing really well. Vortex recently started playing a lot of Heroes of the Storm, so I'm not sure how much he's practiced in StarCraft, but him and Luciferon actually have one of the best teams in Heroes of the Storm right now.
Passion of the
So
Storm.
I'm not sure how much he's focusing on this. TLO can always surprise, and I'm sure he can prepare really well. So
I want to see TLO do well. I just want to see it happen. I want to see TLO get out of this group. What about you? Think he has the chance, Todd?
Hardly. I think it's. I kind of want to say rip. Here.
Oh.
This is a pretty brutal group. I mean, San never loses before semifinals, I think, or at least top 8. Yoda is absolutely on fire. Vortex, even though he doesn't play that many tournaments, in WCS he always does well. I think he wrote, like he tweeted about it, I think he made round of 16 5 times out of 5 times in Premier League. And if he makes the round of 8 this time, it will be also 5 times out of 5 times in Premier League, which is just ridiculous. So
it is.
It's just a bullshit group to get thrown in, and I don't think he's going to survive it.
All right, moving on. Group C, September 23rd. There's Golden, MMA, Mana, and Wellmu. I see MMA definitely coming out of that group. And Golden, I'm going to go with the Koreans there.
MMA was pretty impressive actually against Protoss at DreamHack, especially I think it was. No, it wasn't first. Yeah, it was Patience that he played. That he had some pretty good games against. Now he's up against some tricky Protosses, especially in Wellmu. So you never know. Golden, I feel like Golden, when he came to Europe, he wasn't one of those like top Korean guys that was gonna do super well, but somehow he started doing super well straight away. Like played a lot of online cups, beat Stardust and all that, and then in the previous season of WCS, he went very, very far. I think he made top 4. Yeah, he won his he actually won his round of 8 match versus Vortex, and I was very, very impressed with him. But then he just had a fairly disappointing DreamHack. I think he might have lost to maybe Elfie in the elimination match in like the second group stage or something. So it's hard to say how well he's gonna do. Like WCS is probably the priority for him, but this is a really, really tough group. Like I would say my 2 favorites in this one are probably MMA and Wellmoon.
Okay. Anything else from you guys?
Yeah, I'd go with MMA and Golden in this one.
Steven, any passion? Did you find your passion?
Yeah, but it's in CS:GO at the moment. How's Golden been doing recently? Has he been playing anything big recently against any Protoss players?
Did you mute the fucking...
If I'm not talking, yeah, mute it so that you don't fucking. Do you want me to keep it unmuted? I'm eating French fries, dog.
No. He means that you mute us, because Todd was just talking about Golden for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but you didn't talk about any like super recent Protoss wins the Golden's had. Did you bring that up? Maybe I just tune you out.
You know, French fries make me distracted too. That's why we need to ban them from our kids. Moving on to Group D.
Was it your idea to have Steven as a co-host on the show? Or?
It was. I tell you what.
Hey, you know what? There's a lot of StarCraft 2 I have to catch up on. I watched the assigned games, okay? I'll be watching more. This has been a busy week. I've been sick, alright? Don't worry. I'm getting into the swing of things.
His eyes have been messed up.
Fuck.
He can't really watch games. His eyes are screwed up from looking at those giant crosshairs on CS:GO.
Or is there someone who keeps on coughing? Is there like Ebola spreading through somehow in the...
Steve gave him his Ebola.
It's not so. It's his dog, dude. What the fuck?
Hey, that wasn't a dog. No.
Someone's coughing. No.
Yeah, that was the dog.
No.
You've never heard a dog cough before,
No,
Todd?
It's definitely
Miwa.
All right, last group of Europe, MC4GG, Daishi, Stardust. Really not sure overall, but I want to say, maybe it's just because I haven't seen him that much, MC has not been very consistent. I feel like he's volatile. I understand he's excellent Protoss, excellent player in the world. I don't feel like he's guaranteed a spot out of this group. That he could somehow screw it up.
You know, right now, I think PVT is pretty tough. So for the Protosses, like they're gonna have to work hard to advance here. Like a while back, everybody would have said, yeah, you know, MC and Stardust, they're the clear 2 favorites. No. 4G is actually sick against Protoss. So is Daishi. Daishi, though, he's always struggled versus Terran. I think he plays 4GG first. He's 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3. So it's kind of unfortunate for him, but he's had time to think about the matchup, maybe practice. Knowing him, probably didn't. But it's probably if you look at all the groups, it's probably the toughest group. Like I'm still probably the most interested in Group A just because it's 4 Europeans and like such personalities. But yeah, this group is.
So we're gonna see
actually insane.
So what? We're gonna see MC Stardust. MC's going to advance from that. Then he's going to face 4GG.
No, not necessarily.
No, I think Stardust advances from that group for sure. And
MC and Stardust are really back and forth.
Okay.
In terms of results and like who beats who. Like one time Stardust, I think it was IEM Cologne, he just demolished MC in like 5 minutes. The next time that they played was MC that won. Stardust has been like swinging a lot in terms of results and motivation, but right now he seems to be playing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not his best. MC, I guess the same could be said about him, so...
I'm being inconsistent, isn't it like the story of MC's life, being inconsistent? Like, has there ever been like a long period of time where MC's been like a consistently good player? Like, he seems like a really swingy player always.
He's the highest earner in the history of the game and the guy who's won the most titles, and you say he's inconsistent?
I mean, like, there was a time period, like, in the beginning, but I mean, like, as of, like, the past, like, 2 years, it seems like he's been relatively inconsistent, no? Not that he's ever been, like, bad, but in terms of, like, being able to play against, like, top tier players, like, sometimes he does really well, and other times it looks really bad.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of consistent. When we say MC is maybe inconsistent with his performance and results, we mean that he's not winning every single tournament, basically.
Yeah, sure. I don't mean inconsistent. Like sometimes he plays like a random fucking shitter, but I just mean inconsistent in that he wouldn't be able to beat like Stardust.
All right.
Yeah, it's hard to call. That group's really hard to call.
Yeah, definitely.
Group B though, going back to that, I think that Vortex is not gonna advance, and I think that if TLO can beat San or Yoda, then he can advance. So I'll disagree with
Really,
all of that.
do you think there is any chance TLO will ever advance from this group and
Yeah.
over
I think
Vortex?
could advance second from that group. Yeah. Again, like Vortex hasn't been, or has been playing some heroes with the Storm.
You
I
realize
don't
this
know.
is offline, right? Sign's not going to be playing from Korea.
That's fine. Doable, I believe.
Okay.
What do you play from Korea? This is WCS EU.
Yeah, because round of 32 is online. You. Oh my God. Even.
All right.
I can't tell if you're trolling or serious sometimes.
I can't either, dog. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so we got two groups left for WCS America. We've got Group A, which goes tomorrow, and then Group B, which goes Wednesday. That's American Wednesday. So first we have Violet, Scarlet, Aiguz, and Hero. Aiguz, that name, and Hero. Thoughts?
Yeah, Aego's the clear underdog in this group, and he faces Scarlet first, so that's gonna be a little bit rough, but I mean, it's definitely doable. Aego's is really good, but Scarlet definitely has the upper edge there, for sure. And then Violet against Hero is a hard one to call. I would have said Hero before, but Hyun actually thinks that Violet has the best CVP in the world. I don't know, I tend to underrate Violet a lot. Maybe it's because he played a lot of NA ladder, so he seems, like, beatable, maybe because of, like, how often I got to play him in the past. But I'd go with Violet just on the back of Hyun's word. And then it's gonna be tough. I don't know who's advancing. Violet, Scarlet, or Hero most likely to advance.
He said he has the best ZVP in the world.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he did beat Trust like pretty impressively at Battlegrounds Detroit, but not sure about best. But yeah, he's been pretty good in the matchup. It's it's Scarlet, Aegis, and Hero Violet. I feel like Scarlet is a massive favorite for her match, especially since it's offline. And Violet Hero. Yeah, I guess Violet maybe a slight edge. Like Hero is actually been playing a lot worse than in the past recently. Like especially in terms of WCS, he bombed out twice. So
I think as of recently, Violet's been playing pretty well.
Match?
Violet seems like he's been playing pretty well recently. Heroes has been kind of iffy. I don't know. I think I could see Violet coming out of that pretty easily.
Finally, now you come and you're waiting when nobody expected it out of you anymore.
It's like a dig. Also, I think Skylar beats Igus pretty easily in an offline event, just because how much experience does Igus have playing offline? CatZ would know, I guess.
I mean, just Australian tournament.
Scarlet versus Violet, who do you think will win?
That's a tough one. Maybe Scarlet.
Didn't Violet just beat her recently?
Yeah, I think.
The thing is that Violet
No,
can do Violet can do like a lot of different shit CVZ, in terms of like different all-ins and like really weird builds. Like Violet has like a really large. Can't Scarlet? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
All right, so real quick before we. Yeah, what's that?
Well, yeah, it's a hard one to call. Group B is fucking nuts, though.
All right, before we move to Group B, I want to bring this up because we're going to see it again. Aside from bunker rushes, Steven, what are we looking at as far as the balance between TVZ? I think there was a swing of where Zerg was really overpowered about 4 months ago, and I'm starting to feel like this is definitely one of the most equal matches between the races.
I don't know. That's a pretty loaded question. It feels pretty. I mean, it feels pretty even right now. I feel like Terran is pretty strong in the mid game. Maybe like I think Terran is stronger than Zerg in the mid game, but if you get to the late game, I still feel like Zerg steamrolls Terran pretty hard in the late game. Like when you start getting ultras or if you have enough bailings, even the mine upgrades, unless you fuck up really bad, it seems really easy to steamroll Terran armies in the late game. And then you remax instantly, 80 more lings, 20 more mutas, it's fucking over.
Yeah. All right. So let's
just from my games, but.
All right, we'll hash that out more next week, but let's go into the next group. Hyun, Jaedong, Tasia, Pig Baby. Jaedong, Tasia. Looking forward to that match. I think it's going to be a Tasia win on there.
Yeah, Tasia definitely the huge favorite for that match right now.
Yeah, on paper, Jaedong's been struggling a lot, I think, in general, and especially versus Terran. Like, he just had a nice performance at WEC in China, which he won. But I feel like his only very impressive win was against Newt. He did beat Hero, so I guess if he plays Pig Baby, he definitely has a chance because he's good against Protoss. But against Tasia, I just don't think it's gonna cut it.
Steven, what are you eating?
Yeah, that tournament was underwhelming.
You got chicken nuggets, man.
It's good shit. I'm sorry, CatZ.
Steven.
What you said was more important than my question.
And Hyun against Pick Baby, I think Hyun definitely has the upper edge, like pretty hard. So I don't know. I see Teja and Hyun probably advancing, but I'm hoping for Jadong.
Okay.
I was actually talking to Jaedong in Toronto about a potential show match against Flash, and he was like, "Yeah, right now is probably the worst time because like versus Terran is very difficult, and also Flash is on fire against Zerg, so there is like it makes no sense to try and play now." So didn't seem that confident versus Terran, but I'm pretty sure he realizes how important WCS is. Even though, I mean, obviously he's already qualified for BlizzCon, he doesn't give the slightest of fucks or a shit against about points. I'm pretty sure he would like to go deep in the tournament as the last WCS America that he might get to play in as well, and I guess to win the whole thing, or at least make the finals. You know, that would be good.
Definitely. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, looking at, I'd probably say Teja Hyun coming out of that. All right, so we'll leave this alone because this bracket isn't filled out, and we're gonna get to our last one. This is Code S, round of 8. Make sure I got that right inside the screen. There we go. All right, so first we have Cure Solar. It's gonna be a pretty exciting TVZ. I think Cure is gonna take it.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to call. Solar is not too confident in this matchup, but as in not in CVT, but in against Cure, just because of how good Cure is. So I'm pulling for Solar, but I think Cure might have a slight edge.
I think this matchup actually is going to give us a very good insight on how Cure's TVZ is going into Washington, because it's just before, like, it's literally, well, I guess for me tomorrow, we can kind of technically say in 2 days. So basically just before he leaves to Washington. So it's going to be nice to see. And yeah, in terms of direct comparison or like play, Solar in the past, I think has been very, very impressive. Like to me, he's one of the players that is one of the recent players that has kind of like, I wouldn't say come out of nowhere, but has been on the rise, and that has impressed me the most. So I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a clash of the titans. Like I'm a lot more excited in terms of skill and like what's going to happen in the games for Cure versus Solar rather than Innovation versus Dongregu. Like Innovation, Dongregu, I care more about the name, you know, even though they are obviously really good as well. And Cure, if you look at his past matches in GSL, in round of 16 he played a Terran and a Protoss, and beating Zest was actually ridiculous, especially the way he did it. He just kind of demolished him. And before that, he played against Paralyze and Myung-Sik. Like he hasn't lost a match. Like he's lost a few maps here and there. I think 3 maps in total. But he hasn't played a single Zerg, so I'm very curious to see how he's going to play.
It's good that you bring that up because you know, like sometimes avoiding a matchup can mean so much. Like if he hasn't played any Zerg and he's made this deep of a run, that might be his weak point. At the same time, though, Solar is best against Protoss. Like he's amazing against Protoss. I wouldn't mind betting on him against some of the best Protoss in the world. But yeah, I think this matchup is a pretty big question mark in that regard. Pretty exciting.
Solar only played 1 Terran so far, which was Flash, and he lost that 2-0.
Yeah. Moving down, we've got Innovation DRG. I think DRG showed a lot of skill against Terran when he played Flash. You know, I didn't think Flash was that much off his game during those games, and that it does bode well for him going against Innovation. Then again, Innovation is a very strong player. I think Innovation's TVP is stronger than his TVZ. What do you guys think?
Yeah, a few months ago, or like a year ago, and if you would have said that, people would have said you're crazy. But yeah, right now the results kind of speak for themselves. Like he's been beating Protosses and not necessarily meeting too many Zergs or done that impressively against them. It's the situation with his team is actually pretty interesting because he just left Team Acer because he felt he needed the Kespa style practice in his life to be able to perform better. So I'm not sure what his situation is right now as far as like where he lives and how he practices, but I'm sure he wants this really, really bad, which leaving his team really goes to prove that he wants to get the big titles. He doesn't just want to be one of those players that goes far in some tournaments, like maybe even barely qualify for BlizzCon, not to go far in that tournament as well. Like innovation, he thrives to be the very, very best, and usually when a player is like that, they do very well. I mean, Don Gregu is the same, but Don Gregu has been around forever. He's got other tournaments to look forward to, like for example Washington. Innovation only HGSL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean this is a very important match for Donregu nonetheless, though, and man, this is so hard to call. I don't know. I would say 50-50 on this.
Okay, if you had to bet money, which you keep on doing on every games, would you bet
Donregu
on?
because better odds. He's my friend. Easy
That
bet,
was
man.
That's what's helpful.
You know what? Side note, this completely derails it. What was that? I can't remember who it was. It was a match months ago. The CatZ, you taught someone the thing on the one with the gold bases that Terran always floated to, and you taught that Zerg to put his spore crawler out and catch the Overlord.
Was that Sue?
Solar. That was Solar.
Okay. That was one of my favorite games in the world. That was awesome, and then the whole, I taught him that. That was cool. Anyway, sorry. Back to it. Steve, you have anything on Innovation DRG?
Nope, I'm gonna favor innovation there, just because innovation is sick as fuck, and I don't know as much about DRG.
All right. Zest.
I mean, DRG speed flash. That's about us. I mean, innovations in the eyes of DRG. When I talked to him, he said that it's definitely gonna be easier than Flash, but he feels like he got a little bit lucky against Flash.
I didn't see the games against Flash, so I don't know. I don't know what the games look like.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, the one thing that we can definitely expect from this series, though, is macro games, like long macro games. I think both of these players favor that style. There's a very
No double to racks on the MMS advice.
I kind of doubt it.
All right. Zest and Rain. Todd.
Damn.
Oh man, this is big. Zest, like I really feel like he was bound for greatness from the start, and he has some greatness, but not necessarily as much as I would have expected. Like after he started like doing super well in tournaments and winning some, he went to Toronto and then he lost to the finals. He lost in the finals to Flash 1-4, and then it kind of made me doubt. But then now he came back stronger in the Kespa Cup and won that. So I feel like that definitely makes him a favorite against a Rain who's been also kind of coming back. Rain for quite some time we didn't see him much anymore. He didn't do well. He used to be the big dog in Wings of Liberty. Like from the moment he started doing super well, everybody was like, oh yeah, you know what? My new favorite player now is Rain for Protoss. Everybody tried to copy him. He was like that guy who plays standard. In PvP, you can't really do that. So he's already changed a lot. Like he cheeses a lot more. He tries to mix it up, but Zest is just too freaking solid. Like it's ridiculous how good this guy is. Like right now for me, the favorite to win the whole thing is Zest. Clearly, he's really gonna have to be in a bad day to lose this tournament.
All right. So what are we going to see out of their play style? I guess with Zest and Rain going against each other, what are you expecting?
I'm not sure. Like, yeah, like if you look at the Kespa Cup games, like. There is no real standard. Like you have to mix it up a minimum. Zest is just a guy that's good with everything, that doesn't particularly need to all in, but that will do it once in a while. So I would say like in a best of 5 here, since it's a best of 5, maybe once, twice maximum. Like something like a 4-gate Blink Stalker all in without detection. But against somebody like Rain, he might actually play completely different just because Rain doesn't, I feel, mix it up as much as other players, or at least didn't used to, and there is a chance he might try to play it a little bit safer to try and, outskill Zest in a longer game. So Zest could try and exploit that by playing risky, be it with more cheese or more greedy play. And I just fully expect both players to mix it up a whole bunch. Zest, he used to be super sick with Stargate these days. It kind of feels like Stargate has fell out of fashion. But this could be a good match to bring it back against the Rain, who I don't feel will ever counter Stargate like spot on with like an uplink stalker all in.
Recycle the meta when they don't expect it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Zest just won the Kespa Cup basically on the back of PvP as well, and yeah,
He
I
won
think
all
that gives him an
PvPs.
edge, but mostly, right?
No, he only played Protosses.
Only PvPs? Yeah, okay. 3 Protosses? Who was it? Hero? Hero was the finals. Before that, he played...
He played Pig Baby, then SOS, then Classic, then Hero.
Celeste. Classic, yeah. So,
Not
yeah,
bad.
that's pretty nuts, man. Yeah, for Protoss. At the same time, Rain does have all that to study, but like you said, I think he does mix it up a minimum, and even though he doesn't all-in that often, that's good information for Rain, and Rain excels at the macro game as well, so
Yeah.
I think Rain could make something happen, but Cess definitely the favorite.
I mean, Zest doesn't just mix it up. He also uses his image very well, either from one game to another or from one series to another. And he's kind of feels like he's one step ahead a lot of the time. And he adjusts to situations better than anybody else, I feel. Like that guy used to be Hero, CJ's Hero, but now it's Zest. Like in PvP, he adjusts so well, no matter what.
Yeah.
All right, last match: Stats versus Sue.
Steven, you got this.
Let's go, Steve.
Well, I would go ahead and say that in Stats versus Sue, with Sue being as sick as he's played recently. I'm gonna go Sue.
I'm gonna go with Sue for the exact same reason.
I'm gonna go with
Sue's
Sue.
been-
Tell us
fire
more.
recently.
Tell us why.
ZVP has been favored very recently for the Zergs.
Oh,
Definitely
really?
gonna lean with gonna lean on Sue there for sure. Gonna take that one.
What builds is he gonna do? What is Sue known for at CVP?
Probably his aggressive early style.
What's his favorite unit and build?
Oh, he's definitely more of a Ling muted kind of player, I would say. Games that I've seen him
Against
play.
Protoss?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, okay, Sue, he just had the same placement in a bunch of GSLs. What was that placement?
Oh, he always comes out in a round of 4, right? Ah, rip.
Can you kick him out of the call sometime?
You know what? I'm just here to talk about strategy and shit, dog. Okay.
Oh man.
Okay, talk about strategy. What is Sue gonna do against that? Ling Muta? Seriously?
I don't know
against
anything
Protoss?
about fucking Sue, dog. What the fuck? I don't fucking watch this guy play. Are you fucking real?
Steven,
Best Zerg in the world.
Hold on.
I mean, who do you watch?
Steven, who is your Zerg hero?
Destiny on the ladder.
I can't even. CatZ, what do you think?
This is a really tough matchup as well. Sue has actually been struggling a little bit with CVP. He recently lost 1-3 to Super in the Kespa Cup, and those games were pretty one-sided. He actually only won the game that he used my build. So, yeah, braggery, you know. And, yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, he's preparing as best as he can. He might actually use another build that I showed him. He's been trying it out with Rain, so that would be really cool if he does it. But I don't know, man. Stats is really solid. He really likes. He doesn't like tech too much. Like even if he goes Colossus, he won't make too many. He really favors a lot of gateway units, and that's kind of what killed Sue against Super as well. Like just good force fields and massive amounts of units. Sue really favors muted transitions eventually, but he stays on low tier units like pretty often, and he doesn't like swarm hosts too much. And I think swarm hosts, even if not turtle swarm hosts, but just making a few, is one of the best styles against this sort of really low tech kind of army. So
Against Stats?
I don't
you
know.
think
I've been
Swarm
talking
is
to him a bunch. Yeah, I think that well, I can't tell you the strategy.
Yeah, but that's not my question. Against Stats. In general,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying
like-
you think Swarmers are good.
Yeah, but not too many. Like I would just make a few, and then kind of like fend off with Ling Swarm Host, and then transition out into either Muta or Ultras, depending on whether they have a Stargate or not. Something along those lines.
It's confirmed, guys. Sue's gonna make 10 Swarmers and then Mutas.
No. I mean, he's not confident with that style, and that's the only reason I bring that up. because he thinks that stats is actually pretty good against Storm hosts. So we'll see what he chooses to do. His style is. I hope he changes his style a little bit though, because I mean it really didn't look very good against Super.
Steven, any final thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. That 10 Swarm Host into Muta build, that's pretty fucking strong. I do that quite often. On one base, right?
No.
Oh. Never mind, maybe it's
You hit
the
him.
build I'm thinking of then.
The Kappa is too strong. All right. Well, I think we're getting close to the end. In fact, I think we are at the end. I think it's going to be an exciting week of StarCraft. Red Bull Battlegrounds definitely going to be the tops for this week. Then we're going to have the GSL round of 8 and finish up some WCS America and Europe. And we'll all discuss that next week. Next week we'll have the full highlight reel. A lot of different things will be happening next week. For instance, I will learn how to use those virtual channels and you guys can listen to music during the break instead of silence and the occasional oops, the mic is off moment.
Steven's kicked off the show, right?
Fuck me, dude. Rip.
I love Steven.
Cut.
You guys are, of course, welcome back. We're going to have a couple new guests next week as well. And next week we will have the show match. First of all, it won't go as long as tonight did. And we will have the show match next week. So that'll all be planned. This will all be casted. Dexter, the dog, will not be allowed in to this room at the beginning. And I will do my best to have everything all hunky-dory. I even have these nice little overlays for the cameras to go over that has your Twitter info so the passerby can get on it. But before we go, Todd, do you have any last words? Anything you want to say to the viewers?
Is it shout-out time?
Shout-out time.
All right. Thank you for having me on the show. Shout out to CatZ and iNcontroL for bringing so much to the discussion. Shout out to Steven, I love you. Don't worry.
Thanks, Todd.
Shout out to my bros at DreamHack for doing a fantastic job. Melton from the production at DBC and the guys on the panel, obviously. Rachel, Lewis, Moonglade, and Apollo had a fantastic time with them. Hope to get to do this again soon. Smix held their ground with the interviews very well too. Make sure to tune in this weekend to Battlegrounds Washington. It's going to be off the hook. I'm going to be there casting and maybe doing some interviews. And I really think it's going to be a memorable show. So that's pretty much it. If you want to follow me, I'm at XMGTodd on Twitter. And that's it.
Todd, do you know who all is going to be casting with you?
Nathanias and Roddy, I think.
Cool.
And maybe Day9, but I'm not sure.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. All right, what about you,
Comebacks. Thanks for watching. And follow me on Twitter at RuthCatz. And I might stream some StarCraft 2 in a bit. And that's twitch.tv/RuthCatz. Shout out to TT Esports and V3 and Twitch.
Hells yeah. Destiny, see you.
Wow, shout out to all you guys for coming on, and iNcontroL too, who had to leave early, unfortunately. Shout out to the Cofferg bro in the background. I don't know who he is, but I hope that I hope that he'll feel better soon. I hope that your dog is also doing well. I hope you didn't treat him too harshly when you put him out.
He's good. I fed him to a Korean.
Actually, shout out to my team XMG, by the way. Best laptop in the biz.
Wow.
Best
Is it
gaming
really?
laptop.
What are the
Yeah.
specs of that laptop that make it the best, Todd?
i7,
Can I hassle you over the laptop like you're hassling me over the
GeForce GTX 680. I play with 150 FPS. Shut the fuck up.
So
Can I
wait,
hassle you about this since you hassling me about games? GTX what? 600 you said?
Yeah, 680.
Oh, GTX 680. That was a really good graphics card like a year ago. Yeah.
his laptop's so good it still runs well on that.
Good that I got my laptop 2 years ago and I still fucking stream with it with no lag or anything.
Oh, that's sick. That's really good.
Fucking D-bag.
It's good. I gave you a compliment. Nice. Sick on XMG.
I want to apologize to Apocalypse in case he's watching for that last comment. All right, is that all, Steven?
Is Apocalypse the only Korean that would be offended by dog eating?
He's my only Korean friend, so I guess I directed it at him.
Maybe that's why you don't have any Korean friends. You call them all dog eaters.
Terrible person. All right, I guess I'd like to give a shout out to all you guys.
I get the joke.
Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Again, production will be better next time. It always is, as long as there is a next time production. And I promise to not go full meta on you guys. Just kidding. All right. So again, thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Paulo, and thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. You guys have a good night.